The day the school caught fire, COGO, a fiery explosion engulfed the building as he sprinted through flames, escaping the chaos that raged around him. In an art room, he realized it was too late to escape. He needed to find safety in the place he loved most. As debris flew through the air amidst the explosive scene, Gio reflected on the futility of his attempts. "I thought it was all over," he murmured, staring at a fiery reflection in front of him. A week had passed since he entered the painting he drew, now walking towards a house within that world, where he wondered if children were evacuated safely. Suddenly, a loud impact jolted them both. A rabbit, surprised by the suddenness, squeaked out its alarm. "I never imagined something like this would happen to me." The creature with the horn and wings leans against a tree, appearing lost in thought. The squirrel-like creature inside the hollow tree seems equally bewildered as they both ponder the enigmatic nature of their predicament. In another part of the forest, a unicorn and a squirrel engage in a conversation about time's peculiar flow. "The flow of time is inconsistent here, so I don't know exactly how long I've been inside." Meanwhile, COGO shares his revelation. "Although I've managed to figure out a few simple rules of this painting." A man carrying a basket is trailed by a flying creature and a rabbit, who seem equally confused. In the midst of this chaos, COGO's hand holds a brush, poised over paper with an air of determination. First rule: learn it. As he reaches out to touch apples in his painting, the dialogue reveals, "Everything I draw here becomes real." The scene shifts as COGO draws a bag of salt and other objects, his voice echoing through the forest. "If I draw a bag of salt, it becomes real." Even pots, spatulas, flowers, and tree. Relief fills him as he notes, "That's right. I've been liberated from grocery expenses." However, the scene takes an unexpected turn when text appears. Even so, there was one limitation. A person stands beside a large, dark figure, their expression hinting at what might come next, a limitation that even COGO has yet to fully comprehend. In contemplation, one whispers, "They would just be warm corpses, and couldn't become living, breathing humans." Reflecting on a peaceful life with a unicorn and rabbit, another murmurs, "Honestly, I'm relieved. If I had the power to create living people, this peaceful." As the second rule is introduced, a voice intones, "Second rule. Interacting with the outside world through a frame hanging on a tree," a character exclaims, "I can interact with the outside world through the frame hanging on this tree." Exiting their painting and looking down at another character, they realize, "I can even go outside the painting," and when I did. Learning that over 30 years had passed since a fire, one declares, "I learned over 30 years had already passed since the fire." Holding a cup, another states, 31 years, to be exact. World changes since that day. Noting, "It seemed the world had completely changed since that day." Preparing for a powerful attack, they shout, "That bastard's coming out. Pour all your power into it." Commanding someone to disappear from the face of the earth, another proclaims, "Disappear from the face of the earth." As one character is engulfed in flames and another struck by a powerful energy blast, they scream, "Ah!" and "Pawad," capturing the tension and stakes of their impending confrontation. The air crackles with tension as a character is punched squarely in the face, the sound echoing ominously. Wah! The scene cuts to COGO, an art teacher trapped inside his painting, declaring his lack of confidence in dealing with a society plagued by monsters. A frame shatters, sending shards and wood flying. A portrait belongs inside its frame. Suddenly, the world outside is revealed as a dense forest, governed by its own intricate ecosystem. Third rule. The artist explains, having painted just a 2-story cottage and a forest, yet plants and landmarks he never drew appear scattered throughout. Standing at the entrance of this mystical forest, COGO gazes in awe at the creatures within his artwork, each one friendly towards him. A green parrot soars overhead, while a man with a bird on his shoulder observes the scene. Nearby, a cat is urged to eat an apple. "I ate it because I painted this place." COGO contemplates, reaching down and picking up a small red object from the grass. Concluding that since these creatures live in his artwork, It's only natural they appear as such. And the fourth. The panel introduced a mangdung fruit, a round fruit measuring 1 to 2 centimeters in diameter with a reddish hue. A person sitting on the ground with a basket expressed frustration. I wish it would give me some warning before popping up. Meanwhile, silhouettes of characters observed something cosmic, reflecting that this wasn't really a rule of the forest, but a phenomenon manifesting in those who awakened after the Great Catastrophe. Dialogue from another panel revealed that people now called these beings hunters, and another character mused, "It's like a game." This transformed individual added, "It's fascinating that I've become one of them too." In the serene painting scene with flowers and a vase, it felt like being inside an incredibly relaxing game. A hand pointed to a book about an elixir refining method, pondering aloud. Elixir refining method, huh? As someone living the life of an unemployed shut-in, measuring 1 to 2 centimeters in diameter, eating, sleeping, and never having to work, I couldn't have asked for a happier situation. In the kitchen, sweet potatoes sizzle and crackle as the cook adds honey, their voice echoing with delight. Today's lunch is stir-fried honey sweet potatoes. With a drizzle of sauce, they exclaim, "I'll see. I like it." Reflecting on their past as a teacher, another character muses, "Back when I was a teacher, I never had the luxury to enjoy cooking. But now," a statement of approval follows, "I like it." Suddenly, a crunch sounds as the same character notices something framed with a picture. Then a noise from the entrance catches their attention. Through an ornate mirror, they see someone lying on the floor in a room that looks ravaged. The title panel for the final rule in the manhwa appears. Outside, a broken window reveals a tree branch swaying amidst debris. Inside, a broken frame with a portrait inside lies amongst the rubble. As the scene shifts, Geo transforms into his painting, becoming entangled within the chaotic mess of shattered frames and portraits. A character stands alone, lost in thought, as a close-up reveals an eye with Korean text, Yura, with a speech bubble containing "Ra," expresses relief at seeing something, muttering, "Was that just a wild animal passing by?" A distressed figure with long hair and dark clothing adds to the tension. Geo, with a contemplative expression, says, as he observes his surroundings. In a dimly lit room, a man looks down solemnly, contemplating something significant. Geo appreciates the tranquil setting, stating, "Geo loved this tranquil place." The serene atmosphere continues as someone walks barefoot with a basket and jug, singing softly to themselves, "Do-do-do." The days pass as one character prepares ingredients for a meal over 3 days, diligently counting each day. Finally, the meal is enjoyed with spaghetti, and Geo reflects on how much he has come to love this peaceful existence, even contemplating staying inside his painting forever. So much so that he wouldn't have minded staying inside the painting forever. A character points to a location in the water, exclaiming, "Here, it's over here." The group gathers around a painting in a fire-damaged building, with one member saying, "Take a look at this painting." As they examine it closely, another notes, "It's in excellent condition, right? Looks like it even has a title." They zoom in on the frame, and a character points out, "It says Jio's portrait." Another appreciates, "Man, it's so convenient tagging along with a guy who has the appraisal skill." The conversation shifts to an item found in a dilapidated school, with one saying, "The title popped up, so it's definitely an item. But is it from Earth?" Suddenly, a cosmic portal erupts in the cityscape. A suited character laughs, exclaiming, "Let's enjoy being filthy rich for once thought." Meanwhile, another character is tied up with ropes, looking distressed. Geo, enjoying his solitude, reflects quietly, while Geo was fully enjoying his peace. As the entrance to Geo's painting shifted on its own, revealing silhouettes of people seated in an ornate theater, a hand reached out towards a framed portrait of a man. Nearby, another painter observed a scene with a mysterious figure lurking in the background. A hand holding a number 4 sign appeared before a courtroom, while another held a microphone marked 5 during a speech. Before Geo knew it, his painting had been moved to a collector's gallery. The scene transformed again as a figure stood in a doorway surrounded by chains and mystical symbols. A digital display flickered with the letters FS and directional arrows, before showing a man in a long coat walking past a framed portrait of an old woman. Finally, Geo's reflection showed him lying on the ground with a book and a red object nearby, lost in thought. A man stands in a grand hallway, his back to us, as if surveying the opulence before him. Suddenly, a hand reaches out towards a mirror, fingers brushing against it hesitantly. Earlier, as if trying to remember something from the past. The man turns to look at himself in the mirror, Dalgak, his reflection staring back with a peculiar intensity. Meanwhile, another character smokes outside, marveling at an unseen wonder. Magnificent. Then, a speech bubble labeled Guild Leader pops up, indicating some important communication is about to take place. The scene shifts back in time where we see a man in a suit talking with another unseen person, his voice filled with urgency. I'm aware we're literally called collectors, but don't you think you win a? However, the collector interrupted him sharply. Are you seriously telling a collector not to collect right now? The man in a suit held up a framed portrait and spoke emphatically. Isn't that too insulting? The conversation continued with another character, visibly frustrated by financial considerations. Do you even know how much money went into that portrait? I'm buying my own. A speech bubble with but inside hints at a deeper underlying issue. Finally, the last word comes from an unseen collector who reveals, this item is a piece that even the H. In the chaos of the city under siege, buildings crumble and people flee as monstrous creatures burst forth from dungeons spawned by dimension collisions. The catastrophe stretches back 31 years, when countless dimensions collided with Earth, creating these hellish realms from which the monsters emerge. In a group huddled against the backdrop of a shattered skyline, a woman's silhouette glows brightly, a testament to her creation of the system, which saved humanity from the brink of extinction. The scene then shifts to a futuristic facility, where Danhara's name is prominently displayed as one of its symbols of eternity, the Hunter Association president himself. An auction house bustles with activity. A woman bids on an item with no apparent interest in collecting. Her only hobby seems to be raisins. As the bidding reaches fever pitch, another character expresses surprise at the association president's presence, while a third discusses a valuable artwork that even Danhara covets. The tension escalates as one character apologizes for previous mistakes and recognizes the true value of an artwork, only to find themselves baffled by a portrait they've never seen before. A man in a suit leans forward, head resting on his hand, clearly lost in thought, while another leans against a railing, gazing down with a pensive expression. A character expresses disbelief and frustration, shouting, "What kind of nonsense is that?" as they glare at someone off-panel. The guild leader, proudly announcing their achievement, exclaims, "Guild leader, you became an S-class hunter solely with your appraisal skill." The collector guild leader, impressed by the appraisal, comments, "You're the guild leader of one of Korea's 3 greatest guilds." A man in a suit with a worried expression chimes in, "If something like that exists, what else could happen to Earth?" Another character tries to flatter but is rebuffed with, my a little flattery won't get you anywhere. You know that's not what I mean." Concerned about a dangerous entity, one character declares, "That thing is more dangerous than anything we've collected so far." The other agrees emphatically with a speech bubble containing the word exactly. A man in a suit with tears wells up says, "That's precisely why I wanted it." Holding a portrait, another character contemplates, "I wonder whose portrait this is." Admiring a painting, they muse, "If a human painted this, their skill is truly amazing." No, even if it wasn't P. Observing the painting with vitality. The camera zoomed in on a character's face, their eyes glowing yellow with an intense focus. Suddenly, they were erased from view. In the next shot, another figure stood amidst a dark, abstract environment pulsating with radiant light, questioning, "What is this?" The scene morphed into darkness, text appearing to query something extraordinary. It's pitch black. As if in response, glowing eyes appeared against a black backdrop, followed by a hand reaching out towards a vividly colorful canvas. The camera then pulled back to reveal an awe-inspiring cosmic scene with swirling lines and twinkling stars, leading to the question, could it be the universe itself? A character exploded into action with the sound effect of "sook." As they moved, a man in a suit lounged casually, smoking a cigar. The atmosphere shifted dramatically as another figure exclaimed with excitement, "Yes, I knew it," surrounded by celebratory confetti flying through the air. In a celebratory embrace, joyous confetti danced around them as one character exclaimed, "T6," while another marveled, "There's no way this painting could be ordinary, considering even my eyes could." Suddenly, a sharp sound echoed as a vampire bit into someone's neck. Meanwhile, inside the painting, Geo stood in a peaceful cabin feeling threatened. To think that in this peaceful cabin, I would ever feel my life being. A surprised man in a frame admitted. I knew the scenery outside the entrance had been changing recently, but, ahem. A character knocked and called out for Master with an anxious tone. Knock knock? Master? Can you hear me? But another declined with a dismissive. Would you care to have a chat with me? Awkward no. As they entered this luxurious building, the place they found themselves in was inside an incredibly lavish gallery. Observing its meticulously crafted interior space, it seemed like a gallery that received. Geo's day-to-day life inside his painting began with a delicious meal as he sat at his table, reflecting on the previous night's events. What if they called it a haunted portrait and then burned it, he mused, his hand trembling slightly over the book engulfed in flames. This is my only entrance, his voice wavered, as he was interrogated about his actions in a museum. Suddenly, the scene changed to him holding that same burning book amidst the fiery chaos of the painting, where reality seemed twisted and unfair. The dialogue continued as Geo pondered. If it's like this, he glanced upwards, eyes wide with concern for someone returning, his heart racing. He's coming back. A man knelt beside a wicker basket in the grass, seemingly lost or searching. Geo started their day with a meal, and the scene shifted to him gathering dried flowers and fruits before contemplating making tea with them. The shelf displayed neatly arranged eggs, while he remembered having a tea set, a small comfort amidst the surreal world of his painting. Geo is captured in his studio, meticulously drawing a scene that seems to come alive before him as he pours water into a teapot. The camera shifts to reveal a man in a kimono holding a cat at an easel, his expression both serene and slightly bemused by the surreal situation. As tea fills his cup, Geo takes a sip, his eyes widening in realization. A hand carefully holds a bowl of water while another reaches out, feeling its cool temperature. Nice, he murmurs to himself. As the introduction of new activities unfolds, a character discovers an unemployed slacker's potential for creativity and innovation. In a surprising twist, Geo is seen making medicinal tea using bivarnal petals, which he explains has numerous benefits, particularly in stopping bleeding and boosting immunity. But this newfound body doesn't feel hot or cold. It doesn't sweat either, because since he fell into his painting, his physical needs have vanished. I can move, eat, and sleep, he declares, holding a basket as if in a framed picture. His condition seems to have more than just artistic implications. This surreal world has transformed him into something extraordinary. With a sense of relief, Geo realizes he no longer needs to deal with bathroom issues anymore. And I don't even need to go to the bathroom anymore. He reflects on his unexpected transformation after falling into this surreal painting, marveling at how his evolution has freed him from mundane tasks like cleaning. However, as the camera pulls back, a text panel signals that something more pressing demands attention. The serious problem right now isn't that. Looking out of the window, Geo is startled by someone calling for him. "Oh, Master?" Startled and surprised, he exclaims, "Good heavens!" The scene shifts to a framed tree outside, displaying an eerie portrait with dialogue indicating no one has visited in 11 days. It's already been 11 days since. Geo expresses sadness as his introverted companion joins him, questioning loneliness with playful banter. That makes me very sad. Don't you get bored being all alone? The introvert, holding a cup of honey-sweet potatoes, dismisses the concern with a shrug. Meanwhile, another character assesses an entrance, noting its safety and rating it highly. The entrance also indicated that he was a relatively safe person, safety. In an unsettling twist, a man in a suit confronts someone lying on the ground, questioning whether their sacrifice is to their liking. Is this sacrifice not to your liking? The character mulls over sacrifice, questioning whether it's a common or specific sin. The most commonly favored sacrifice is, of course, a sinful human, perhaps. A man in a suit and tie adds with a smirk. In today's society, finding a sinful human is a piece of cake, then continues. So if there's a specific type of sinner you desire, then please. The burden seems overwhelming as another character sighs. Even so, that's just too much pressure. Fear creeps in for one who can't handle the future. I can already see a future I won't be able to handle if I reply even once. Another tries to communicate using Korean but stops short, realizing, are you perhaps not responding because I'm using Korean? But wait, I already tried. Amidst this tension, someone sips tea with a sigh of discomfort. The tea is really delicious, but I feel like I'm going to get indigestion. Two discuss the chairman of a major South Korean conglomerate. According to the people who look like staff, he's the chairman of one of South. A frustrated character sighs again. Do you really have no intention of conversing with me? Sigh. In the mirror, a man in a coat looks at himself, seemingly deep in thought. The smirk returns as another smirks while holding a cigarette. Very well. I'll come see you again. Finally, a man walks through an ornate hallway, his footsteps echoing softly. Duh. A person holding a cup, deep in thought, murmurs, I don't sense any malice from him, and I don't dislike him since he doesn't seem. A tired figure slumps on a couch, sighing heavily. It's just a bit draining for now, I suppose. The text panel reads, he won't be able to keep that up forever, as a hand reaches toward a wooden beam. Another hand holds a burning painting while the first points at it, with the whisper, just in case he decides I can't be reasoned with. A character, now intent on interaction, declares, I'll try interacting with him then. The sound of flour sifting into a bowl follows. Tug tug. A hand holding a lantern near flames adds, I don't want to be burned at the stake yet. Hair falls forward, obscuring their face, as they speak in a muffled tone. A character declares their resolve with a firm voice. I need to take back ownership of my one and only entrance. As they prepare to reclaim control, another hand hovers over a computer keyboard, ready to press F5. Saluting. A person in a suit steps out of an elevator, the day ending with a heavy sense of finality as they enter a dimly lit office. A character carefully checks the humidity and temperature standards at 4 in the morning, nodding in satisfaction. They pause to finally examine Gio's portrait, a framed painting of a quaint house with a thatched roof, surrounded by lush greenery. Another character, holding a book, questions the title. I'm pretty sure it said portrait. As they walk away, feet of another person can be seen standing on tiled flooring, perhaps guarding or observing. A figure in a hooded cloak stands against a dark, ominous wall, their long hair swaying slightly. Suddenly, a character with purple hair and pink eyes appears in a close-up, seemingly agitated or excited about something unseen. The scene shifts to a dimly lit grand hallway where the same figure from before is now standing. They turn around, saying hello. A hooded figure approaches, asking, would you like to have a conversation with me? And the character with purple hair turns to face them, appearing contemplative as if preparing for an important dialogue. The hooded figure hovers ominously, a glowing object held aloft above an unsuspecting head, as if casting a spell over them. The mysterious figure with glowing lines and an abstract sculpture looms large behind, adding to the eerie atmosphere. A shot rings out, echoing through the darkness, followed by the sound of footsteps on tile. This gallery, along with its owner by Sabiel, whispers a painter and gallery owner in dramatic tones, hinting at secrets beneath the surface. A character's feet shuffle across the tiled floor, carrying their suitcase as they navigate the secretive world of collectors. Stepping into an elevator, another figure stands poised to press the button, the weight of their mission palpable even within its sterile walls. Two characters in formal attire stand together on a tiled floor. One holds something small and important, while the other asks, "Pardon?" A speech bubble reveals that they know about the gallery on basement level 5. 17 complaints have been logged by now, adding to the tension of this shadowy world where art and reality blur. The tension thickened as Cogio, trapped within his painting world, watched 17's distress from afar. Guild leader by Biol collected anything he deemed art, even if it was a monstrous skeleton. Dismissing artwork monsters didn't faze him. Ghostly screams echoed in front of the building that had become an incubator for such creatures. Despite this turmoil, Geo reflected on his situation, noting that ghost incidents weren't uncommon. A curator stopped rumors from spreading outside, but the small incident seemed to be a sign of something bigger. Two characters discussed their troublesome situation. One expressed concern while Geo, used to this, shrugged it off with a smile. They paused for a moment, sipping hot drinks before one character, holding his cup, asked the other what they should do next. A character praises Cogio's reliability, saying, "You really are reliable." Another expresses a desire to have Mr. Ucio take charge as an administrative manager. They reflect on past roles, mentioning that Cogio was even a research team leader at the association, and discuss a past incident where they left the association, with one person recalling how much they were glared at when they departed. Another character expresses reluctance to stand out in any case if rumors about trouble spread outside the gallery. A clipboard filled with witness statements regarding the ghost incident is shown, followed by a report detailing the first sighting on XX/00 at 4:32 a.m. and information from Mr. Kim, who was the first staff witness. A composite sketch of a handsome person based on staff member Park XX's testimony is presented, and further details about the ghost are given. Difficult to make eye contact with, wearing a black suit, and holding documents. The sighting reports are noted as remarkably consistent among witnesses. A man in a suit holding a clipboard speaks, his voice tinged with urgency, as he discusses sightings of a monster disguised as display pieces. This, despite disguising itself as a display piece. Another character nods in agreement, eyes wide with concern. The scene cuts to the word "strange," appearing dramatically in the center of a dark, gritty background. A character reflects on the recurring appearance of this entity without any casualties, muttering, "It's appeared this many times, and yet there hasn't been a single casualty." The tension escalates as a monstrous creature emerges from a portal, its presence causing palpable fear among those observing it. Characters in a research facility discuss the potential global ramifications if such a monster existed. If a monster like that really existed. They quickly realize that before public awareness spread, the association would lock it away. As the scene shifts to an elegant room, a ghost and person have a conversation, with the ghost asking for permission to converse. The person responds, noting that the ghost may genuinely believe itself human. It may genuinely believe it is human. In any case, after that exchange, Cogio introduces himself, saying, "Hello, my name is Seojio," hinting at his peculiar identity as an art teacher trapped inside paintings where the drawings come to life. Under pressure, a staff member stammers through their conversation, trying to keep up with an overwhelming situation. Nearby, two figures in suits stand against each other, faces etched with solemnity as they discuss something of great importance, but without revealing too much about it. Suddenly, smoke swirls around one character, and another points at them with a clipboard, causing the first to react with surprise or realization. The scene cuts to an intense close-up of a character's face, lines accentuating their dramatic emotions. In a different part of the room, characters gather around displays of food items, engaging in casual conversation about what they are seeing. Later, two characters delve into recent analysis and testing of components, discussing their findings while standing by a table filled with equipment. The mood shifts as a man in a suit confronts another lying on the ground, hinting at an incident involving stolen property from prison. A character then questions why someone might have used poison, only to be corrected that it was actually medicine being used for healing. In a moment that left one character with tears and a shocked expression, "What is this?" The conversation quickly turned to the peculiar properties of medicinal gifts, from anemia medicine to digestive aids, as if ordinary foods had taken on medicinal properties. A donut with sprinkles was mentioned as an example of this strange occurrence. The tension rose when another character expressed concern about a monster described as troublesome. A figure in silhouette against a cosmic backdrop revealed the creature's abilities. Not only could it grasp living beings, but also create things and bypass guild security to display itself ethereally. A mysterious black hole in a grand hall added to the intrigue, hinting at its skill at concealing itself. Two characters walked through a glowing environment, discussing the high-ranking monster that seemed almost certain to be powerful, yet showing signs of goodwill toward humans, though this goodwill made controlling such creatures more complex. The scene shifted to a forest with an ethereal aura, suggesting the presence of civilizations. Text panels revealed that terrifying discoveries had been made within dungeons, referencing an event 11 years prior where delegations from various nations were sent there, hinting at something deeply unsettling yet possibly beneficial they had uncovered. The characters observe a glowing portal, and with a sense of both wonder and unease, one exclaims, "With a civilization from another dimension." Suddenly, they discover that every single entity returning is labeled as healthy malformations. Against this cosmic backdrop, a silhouette appears. To them, the narrative continues. The human body was considered inefficient. This revelation leads to a discussion about dungeon creatures being classified as enemies. A monster is a monster. From that day on, all beings originate from. The conversation shifts with a ghost described as a tricky raid, and one character confidently declares, "I'll take it on. This is my specialty after all." Meanwhile, another in a suit leans forward thoughtfully. As gratitude is expressed for assistance, the door slams shut behind them, signaling yet another revelation. "Hey, there's one more thing I need to tell you." Ding. The guild leader displays Joe's portrait on display in basement level 5, marking the start of incidents with a sense of foreboding as doors close behind. Ah, there it is. A sudden realization dawns on Yu Seong-gun as Mr. Yu instructs him to take charge of a new exhibit. With a rush of anticipation and responsibility, Seong-gun steps forward, presenting another fresh piece. "Mr. Yu," he calls out, his voice tinged with both excitement and trepidation. This time, another new piece. The air is thick with the palpable thrill of new challenges. As Yu Seong-gun hands over the reins to a man holding a glass of wine, the text pops up boldly. "You'll be taking charge of a new exhibit." The scene shifts dramatically as the introduction of Wyo's portrait is announced with fanfare. But poor Seong-gun looks down at his red book, visibly distressed. Peeking through a door with wide eyes, he catches sight of an elevator, where someone contemplates the control panel. The character mutters to themselves. In a sudden burst of energy, Seong-gun exclaims, "This wasn't just a little extra work." But then they gleefully add, "Overtime was guaranteed." The scene cuts to a stark red screen displaying F5 against a dark background with swirling veins, hinting at the intense challenges and transformations ahead. The hooded figure stands contemplatively, casting a shadowy presence over the ornate hallway. Yu Seong-gun, with determined steps, searches for Gio's portrait, the urgency clear on his face as he navigates through dimly lit corridors, searching every nook and cranny. Suddenly, a hand holding a smartphone shows 4:29, time ticking by as the search intensifies. Then, a uniformed figure exclaims, "It appeared," their voice tinged with both surprise and dread. The hooded figure steps forward, cloaked in mystery as light from behind highlights its silhouette against the shadowy backdrop. As dawn breaks, illuminating an ornate setting, another ghostly figure emerges, text overlaying its image. It comes out at dawn when there aren't many staff around. Observing a document with an irregular appearance cycle, one character speculates. Its appearance cycle wasn't regular, so getting a chance to observe it right away is... Observing the environment, Geo uses his inver skill to carefully verify data, his eyes narrowing as he confirms a faint sound emanating from the grassy area. The figure with glowing blue eyes and a determined expression nods, silently processing information. Meanwhile, another cloaked figure walks across a tiled floor, their boots echoing softly. The faint sound grows louder. It's unmistakable now, a whisper of blades of grass in the breeze. Geo's companion, with long hair and a teardrop on their cheek, looks up in surprise. A cloaked figure admires the artworks, pondering aloud if this is simply an interest or something more sinister. Below, another hooded figure stands before a display, their eyes scanning for anything out of place as they mutter warnings about the danger these items hold. The shadowy figure nearby remains motionless, observing intently without making a sound, its curiosity piqued by the mysterious humanoid. Geo's expression turns serious as he contemplates how best to uncover what lies beneath this seemingly innocent setting. A hooded figure stands solemnly, casting an air of mystery over the scene as a character expresses surprise or realization with the simple word H. Nearby, another character in a suit leans against a pillar, appearing visibly distressed by what is unfolding around them. Their eyes meet in a tense moment, and the camera zooms in on their wet, reflective eyes, hinting at an emotional wait to come. Suddenly, a ghostly figure clad in purple with glowing eyes emerges from the darkness, adding an ethereal tension as another character is surprised by a mysterious purple flower. The scene shifts to a dark environment where a glowing entity sits in the center, its presence both terrifying and awe-inspiring despite the overwhelming blackness surrounding it. Finally, a massive entity is revealed, sparking admiration but also fear with its ominous size and distant glow that cuts through the darkness like a beam of light. A mysterious figure with glowing red eyes materializes, casting an ominous presence as they whisper, "Something exists." A character peeks through a narrow crack, murmuring, "In there." In a dimly lit room adorned with intricate details, a cloaked figure stands, partially obscured by shadows. Nearby, another character in a dark suit crouches cautiously beside an ornate vase. Suddenly, tears stream down the face of yet another character, their distress palpable as they cry out. Azuraskins.com. A violent scene unfolds next. One character is punched harshly and falls to the ground with a resounding bang. A dramatic pose follows, suggesting exhaustion or resignation with repeated exclamations, "Ta-ta, that's it." Leaning against an ornate wall, another character in a suit seems deep in thought. In a framed portrait, Geo appears serene and contemplative. As the mystery unfolds, one character reveals something hidden, hid. Expressing frustration, they question aloud, "This is driving me insane. I didn't provoke it for nothing, did I?" The Geo's portrait exploration comes to a close with the announcement, "Exploration Day 1 complete." A person is startled by something in the forest, exclaiming, "WHW," then hides behind a pedestal as another character cautiously observes from nearby. The hidden figure ponders whether they were hiding out of fear or just being cautious around their companion. Meanwhile, a cloaked individual stands before another who has run away without looking back, sparking questions about past events and potential confrontations. Geo meditates in the forest, determined to continue appearing like a harmless portrait, while a rabbit sits on someone's lap holding their hand. Another character sits in the grass with two small creatures close by, feeling an inexplicable intuition that their companion might return. A hand holds a small object marked VOA and TSK, hinting at some unseen plot point. The man interacts with a creature named Koro, noting how these animals come close when touched but avoid him when he tries to interact, adding another layer of mystery to their situation. Geo, trapped within his own painting Geo's portrait, is met with a new challenge as a character in a framed portrait expresses a desire for something to squish and pet. "I wish I had a pet." The scene shifts to an intense close-up of another character's face, eyes wide with curiosity. Then, the canvas begins to fall, sending shockwaves through Geo's world, signaling the start of Exploration Day 2 in his portrait. As he continues his journey, Gio encounters a character in formal attire who seems surprised. Ah. The tension builds as Gio reflects on an entity that seemed to run away yesterday and has now vanished again, leaving him puzzled. Since it seemed like it was running away yesterday, I thought it had hidden itself. A text overlay reveals the beginning of a new chapter. Then the work starts from here, hinting at deeper mysteries. The mysterious figure within another portrait is finally exposed as more than just an ordinary monster, proving that this portrait holds secrets beyond what meets the eye. As Gio discovers he must now find and follow the portrait's hidden rules, he comes across a luminous figure lying on the ground, bathed in a bright light from below, adding yet another layer of intrigue to his already enigmatic adventure. Gio finds himself pondering the enigmatic nature and coexistence of an unknown entity, trying to determine if it can truly coexist with him. To be honest, he confesses, standing face to face with someone who stares back intensely, feeling drained by their gaze. Down below, amidst monsters that flowed into Earth after the Great Catastrophe, adventurers confront the threats. The uncertainty of a raid attempt weighs heavily on their minds as they discuss strategies. So for the sake of coexistence, humans had no choice but to study these monsters, Gio reflects, looking at a framed portrait that asks if someone wants to talk. A character in a uniform agrees, extending a hand for conversation. Text from a painter who draws dungeons reveals, that was one of the ways to survive on today's Earth. In the dim light, a suited figure with a high safety rating observes their surroundings. As Gio is moved by someone's goodness, he admires them, and they cover their mouth in surprise when they first met. Gio stands confidently before a talking portrait, his eyes never leaving its gaze as he admires something unseen. The portrait's voice echoes. Even when facing a talking portrait like this, he doesn't show the slightest sign of surprise. He turns to apologize to a reflection in a mirror, saying, "I apologize for what happened yesterday," only to find himself on the receiving end of a puzzled look that reads, "He even cares about my feelings." What? A ghostly figure with a skull-like face materializes amidst chaos, declaring, "Right, in a world where people fight house-sized monsters." The talking portrait nods solemnly. A talking, moving portrait is perfectly ordinary. Not. Another character expresses gratitude to someone who doesn't need to apologize, saying, "You don't need to apologize for that. Thank you for your consideration." A portrait frame asks another character their name with a gentle query, "May I ask your name?" The conversation about the procedure used on 7 beings continues, mirroring itself in the same manner as before. A silhouette holding chains appears, accompanied by text about soul contracts. A hooded figure speaks to a portrait, pondering its actions. This portrait might hear my name and enter me into some bizarre contract. But just another character reflects on revealing their true name, deciding, "I don't think he'll suddenly do something bad now, just because I tell him my true." Yu Seong-gun introduces themselves with a simple yet firm tone, saying, "I am Yu Seong-gun." A hood. The figure reflects on a past encounter, eyes darting back and forth as if reliving an intense moment. A whole lot of them. That's right, the one whose eyes met mine yesterday. The scene shifts to a ghostly figure in a hooded cloak appearing against a dark, rainy backdrop, casting an eerie yet somber atmosphere over the viewer. Gio looks at a portrait and exclaims, "Yes, that was me." The narrative deepens with another character, who's thinking, "He's telling me this so readily." Another asks, "Then, are you saying you can come directly outside of that portrait?" The questioner looks flustered and asks, "You look flustered. Oh dear, did it show?" Another character expresses surprise at the willingness of a non-human being to reveal information. "I was surprised that a non-human being like this would give out information about you." The scene transitions to 2 characters in a grand, ornate room, engaging in conversation. One asks, "Why is that?" The other responds, "Because you asked." Gio contemplates motives with a serious expression. What if I had asked with impure motives? The scene shifts again to another character with blue eyes and long hair, appearing in disbelief. They assert, "That's a lie." Finally, One asks another about kindness and politeness. A shadowy figure with glowing red eyes peers menacingly from within a frame, as another character asks if they would ignore someone judged to be evil or attack them. A mysterious ghost wanders around a gallery, handing out tasty gifts, leaving the reader intrigued. In a forest setting, one character impatiently questions another's slow response, while another expresses frustration about being called a ghost and wonders why he's so hesitant. Meanwhile, a hand gently touches a mirror frame in apology. The story takes an eerie turn as Cogio speaks to a talking portrait, revealing that all the characters were really scared when they detected something, and now he reflects on their sudden disappearance with a contemplative expression. The narrator's voice deepens as they weave the dialogue together, a character declaring their immortality with a resolute, "I have never died." The scene shifts to a man in a suit questioning another about their origins, his tone filled with curiosity. "Does that mean you were a portrait from birth?" The narrative then takes a reflective turn as a figure stands before a door, pondering their sudden transformation. "I was curious about where I am. After all, I had suddenly become a portrait, and, in the gallery, admiration for art leads to questions about those who created it. The rare works on display caught my interest," one muses. The camera lingers on framed portraits, hinting at lives led by their creators. What kind of lives they led, what kind of names and tastes they had. A character lies down, reflecting on solitude and the desire to connect. Even in a world changed like this, when one is alone, one naturally seeks someone to talk to. The scene darkens as another speaks of survival. To survive, one needs a social life. "I don't want to be burned at the stake." Finally, a figure in a trench coat stands with hands behind their back, his interest in human lifestyles dryly noted by someone else. All the more so with a polite person like you. A character in a formal outfit addresses someone off-panel with a hint of sarcasm. "You seem too like polite people." The focus shifts to another character, who is gazing at a portrait and musing on their judgment. "At the very least, more than this place's bright red leader, I judge the staff." A sudden question about the guild leader, by Sabiel, surfaces as another character questions with curiosity. The scene then highlights a talkative person in a suit who appears surprised. This same character expresses frustration. He talks so much that it's difficult to respond. Guild leader. Another character warns about getting on the wrong side of Bisabiel, emphasizing how difficult it is to deal with him. Gio, trapped in his painting world, refuses to talk due to judging the guild leader as rude. A third character reflects on receiving little information for a task and wonders why he was given such an unusual assignment despite being entrusted with work this time. Another character sums up, "It was because Jio judged the guild leader to be rude and refused to engage Ian." The scene takes a turn as someone warns about the dangerous situation, prompting another to apologize for not providing more details earlier. A conversation ensues on the nature of evil and relaxation, suggesting that even if someone isn't inherently evil, their rudeness might still lead to hostility. So if someone isn't evil, he won't be. A mysterious figure clad in dark shadows appears, framed by an ornate border. What on earth is this thing? A ghostly hooded form with intricate symbols on its chest steps forward as a character asks, "Do you have another question?" Another panel reveals a trench-coated figure questioning the unseen entity. "Were you able to observe us from inside the portrait this entire time? Why does it seem more like scenery outside than observing?" The conversation shifts as a character reflects, rather than observing. It was more like the scenery outside. A mysterious event involving the portrait and a broken frame is described. "The portrait opening its eyes happened when I had the will to co." Another character muses on the closed eyes. "Other than that, the portrait always has its eyes closed. And I could only watch." A somber figure with a resigned expression appears. "I have no choice but to watch." The scene concludes with a caption discussing moving paintings as fascinating. "Moving paintings are fascinating," followed by the character's contemplative realization. "Oh, I see." Gio's contemplation deepens as he ponders the nature of paintings and humanity. "So, Paintings aren't him, but those outside, he murmurs thoughtfully. A suited character adjusts their hair with a quizzical look. Your blunt way surprises me, Gio. Another character chimes in with a polite, yet slightly amused tone. I was merely being polite. The scene shifts to a figure holding a briefcase, their speech bubble asking, if one is human, shouldn't they observe proper manners? A serious-faced, white-haired individual nods. In the next panel, text bubbles confirm, it was a pleasant conversation. And then, Gio's portrait investigation day, 2 complete. The time on his smartphone reads 9 o'clock, marking the end of their discussion. Gio receives an urgent call from the guild leader, warning about a dangerous thing looming ahead. That thing is dangerous. A character in a red hat and white shirt sits at a desk, sipping tea and questioning, what is dangerous? The tension escalates as a man in a trench coat walks by with a briefcase, exclaiming, about that portrait. In a cozy tea room, a character discusses the peculiar nature of monsters with his companion, emphasizing, it's completely different from the monsters we've seen until now. As he speaks, an unexpected revelation emerges. A figure stands confidently on a suitcase, declaring, most importantly, I genuinely recognize myself as human. The conversation shifts to another's belief, with one character reflecting, though I can't tell whether he truly believes that, or merely wants to. Dialogue from the series highlights. In cases like this, things usually seem harmless, but warns, but if something goes wrong, the consequences can be unimaginable. A shadowy figure with glowing red eyes looms ominously in a swirling frame. The dialogue continues, revealing, that portrait also has a concept of good and evil and judges others based on his. Another character suggests sending an item to the Hunter Association as research material. Have you considered sending it to the Hunter Association? A premonition is shared. I know. Echoing. I thought you'd say that. The conversation deepens with another reflecting, well, the more I hear, the more I feel you're doing something kind. Please keep talking, as if acknowledging a growing understanding between them. The narrator, in a cinematic tone, continues. A character in a trench coat whispers an extremely personal request, understood by all involved as a job well done. The scene shifts to a man exclaiming about his employees' nonchalance with a laugh, emphasizing their attitude. Frustration is evident from another character's remark about recruitment practices, leading into the introduction of guild leader Bisabiel and his obsession with collecting glowing figures. The collector's employees are introduced as people stubbornly recruited by the guild leader, reflecting on careful hiring despite rank differences. A character with a glowing aura and dark wings appears, highlighting their extraordinary soul grade. A report is being given about the difficulty in identifying similar beings, leading to frustration over Bisabiel's actions. The dismissed character reflects on potential plans while another questions if Bisabiel really intends to destroy Earth. Finally, Gio's portrait exploration begins on day 3 with a framed portrait asking, are you not lonely? The framed portrait, now animated and speaking, sits on a chair, looking at another person who apologizes for an impolite question. The second character, a briefcase-clad figure, sits next to them, explaining that only employees manage this place. The first character, expressing preference for solitude, confirms their satisfaction with the environment. Another character shows concern about their discomfort with speaking, but is met with a calm assurance from the framed portrait, who reveals they've spent far too much of their life in conversation and longs for silence instead. In a dramatic embrace amidst an explosion of flames, two characters share a moment of connection that contrasts sharply with the fiery backdrop. The scene shifts to a serene setting where one character lies down in a glowing green environment, declaring it perfectly suited for their wishes, while another character reclines on the ground surrounded by lush foliage, finding solace in this unexpected haven. A mysterious figure in a trench coat asks, were you once human? The suited character corrects, saying, I am still human. The narrator exclaims, right, then clarifies, what I meant was. Gio, who has been trapped inside his paintings, is questioned about his past. Weren't you an ordinary human who wasn't inside a painting? Gio confirms with, yes, I was. The scene shifts to introduce two types of humanoid monsters. A contemplative figure says, "I see," as the narrator describes one type, those that were born monsters. Suddenly, another creature transforms from monstrous into a human form. Meanwhile, blue energy emanates around a character, and the narrator explains, and those who started out as humans, but at some point came to belong to the root and became monsters. Another panel poses the question, is Geo the latter? The final text reads, if so, that's even stranger, as Geo is depicted with glowing blue energy, suggesting his dual nature as both a human and a monster. The serene portrait, framed in gold, exudes an unsettling tranquility that feels far too calm. Far from peace, it hints at an underlying tension. The silhouette of a person with abstract patterns on their body stands before us, not as a comforting presence, but rather one that seems to be observing or waiting for something. A figure sits in a chair, visibly mourning, their posture heavy with grief and loss. Nearby, another character sits in a similar chair, with luggage at hand, seemingly pondering the monotony of life within this painting world. Sometimes, they mumble, hinting at the endless cycle of existence trapped here. As the scene shifts to dialogue, the question arises, how do you relieve that boredom? The response is equally intriguing. Usually, I have a meal. Confusion sets in. This isn't just any meal. It's as though paintings eat. One character looks at a portrait and breaks into an excited sweat, exclaiming, I enjoy eating. Here. Another, skeptical of someone enjoying meals with such a grim expression, questions, so paintings really can eat? A person in a suit reflects on the question. This may be rude to ask, but may I ask how you have your meals? The scene culminates as another character sits cross-legged on the ground, speaking with an air of confidence. I cook. I decide what I want to eat. The painter gathers ingredients and begins preparing them, seamlessly blending reality and fantasy in this mesmerizing world where art and existence intertwine. After meticulously preparing ingredients, Geo finishes cooking with proper tools, exclaiming, after that, I simply cook them with proper tools and finish the dish. Yesterday, he reflects on being an ordinary human, pondering this oddity, because I am an ordinary human. What an odd thing to ask. A uniformed character questions the explanation, noting, does he realize that explaining it like that only makes him sound less human? Geo, realizing his mistake, laughs, saying, I see, huh? Drawing apples in a portrait frame, he enforces portrait rules. First rule, everything I draw here becomes real. Interacting with the outside world through a hanging frame, he explains. Second rule, I can interact with the outside world through the frame hanging. Third rule, this forest is a virtual reality. Reflecting on a mysterious portrait in the forest alongside another character, they share, I feel the same. I've also been wondering what is and isn't possible inside this. Geo contemplates asking Mr. Gun for help with his curiosity. Then perhaps I'll ask him why Gun Tio help me test something I've been curious. Inside a portrait, he enjoys the unique experience, reflecting, how does that work? Geo's voice trails off as he receives a response. It requires a little help. A deep desire for joy is expressed by another character, who adds, but you can bring me joy as well, Mr. Gun. This leads to questioning about what kind of joy involves sacrifice and fear, a matter that makes the narrator reflect on a missed opportunity if he hadn't brought his drawing tools with him. Meanwhile, within one of their portraits, someone requests an apple to be drawn onto it. The scene shifts as hands reach for a suitcase handle. Then a character in a suit holds a pencil, touching the artwork solemnly, though this interaction is truly unpleasant. The narrator ponders preparing various items for safety's sake and then marvels at what's happening right now as proof enough of their journey within these painted worlds. A red apple with a black stem sits on a golden surface, its presence drawing attention. A character dressed formally holds the apple, their expression awkward as they murmur, it's not particularly beautiful. A hand holding another identical red apple appears, accompanied by a simple speech bubble saying, thank you. Confusion sets in for a man in a suit who observes with, Then, he takes a bite of the apple and exclaims, ah. The scene shifts as another character expresses shock, he, followed by, he ate it. And then, he ate the apple one drew. This revelation leaves everyone in awe. I've never seen anything like this before. As a character enjoys the apple with evident delight, remarking, it's delicious. Nicely ripe with such a lovely aroma. They reveal their surprise as another hand holding a paintbrush confesses, I just used some cheap paint to draw it. But now the painting has scent and taste. The last panel captures a moment of realization for one character, reflecting on being an ordinary human living inside a painting. By the same logic, even I. A hand holding a drawing of a finished dish floats in front, with Cogo murmuring, on days when I don't feel like cooking, I draw a finished dish like this and eat. A character in a kimono interjects with a speech bubble, ordinary humans can't do that. To which another responds, is it really strange? Acknowledging the kindness of his companion, Cogo promises, yes, I understand. Then I will repay you for your kindness for drawing me an apple. Yu Seong-gun nods in agreement as a portrait on the wall suddenly asks him something. Meanwhile, a man in a suit holding a knife and the Korean word, some, breath, written nearby, suggests a tense moment. The artist is painting with gemstones, testing various things, but also trying to paint with them. In this scene, Cogo reflects on his ability to create a portrait of warm corpses, where it seemed as if everything became connected to the reality outside. In a dimly lit room, a suited figure clutching a cigarette was bathed in red splatters that suggested a recent fight or an eerie transformation. Outside, amidst a serene forest, another character appeared calm and collected. Hunter Yu Seong-gun approached with what seemed like a gesture of gratitude, offering something restricted, a token of appreciation. Suddenly, a glowing red crystal emerged within a diamond-shaped frame adorned with arrows, pulsating with power. The gem appeared on the facade of an ancient building, its glow spreading ominously. A character gripped a luminous orb with intense focus, as if drawing upon extraordinary strength. A framed portrait spoke of gratitude. Here's a token of my gratitude. Another hand held a mysterious, glowing gem, its crystal structure indicating it was crafted from deep underground where heat and pressure were extreme, possibly near the planet's core. The environment buzzed with enigmatic energy as a character pondered aloud. What kind of gem is this? I don't know, but it must have been deep underground. A fiery scene illuminated text hinting at its origin. It was in a place hot enough to dwell alongside the planet's heart, leaving the characters and viewers alike in awe of the enigmatic world unfolding before them. On day 3, the exploration of Geo's portrait was complete, revealing a startling truth. This portrait is not a monster. As they delve deeper into his work, a character with a glowing crystalline head asks, the root, huh? Observing their findings, another character declares, those are the results of my observations so far. Suddenly, a cosmic ring appears, displaying the root logo. A transcendent being emerges, managing the balance of every universe and dimension. It's a system of sorts and the god of gods. The scene shifts to a city engulfed by massive, glowing entities, the dungeons that engulfed Earth 30 years ago. In another cosmic shot, swirling energy swirls around a planet, revealing that these stories are new dimensions born from the vein of the root. Meanwhile, in snowy mountains, the gardeners discuss their knowledge. Monsters arise within the dungeons the same way. That is what the gardeners know, as they understand monsters and creatures are born from Geo's art, mirroring his origin story. In a mysterious twist, the characters discuss Geo's unique creation process, highlighting his distinct nature from the two entities he resembles. Geo is unlike either. One character marvels as another asks, what's more? The scene shifts to show a circular emblem with text inside it, revealing that Geo created beings outside himself, a revelation that astonishes all. Suddenly, blue liquid splashes onto a surface. Ru. The sound echoes as Geo's portrait exploration on day 6 begins. Standing on a staircase, a character in a trench coat reflects. They're my new family. I've gotten into it, so I'm trying to make several. A bird with sparkles flies nearby, and another character observes, flying around inside the portrait. You created them? There seem to be. The chatter of creatures echoes as one states. Yes, 100. They're chatters. Water droplets coalesce into a pond, symbolizing their gathering. And just like that, creatures decorate themselves with various objects, each adding to this surreal world where reality and art blur together. A character with blue eyes and spiky hair looks up at the sky, lost in contemplation as azuraskins.com whispers about his unique way of referring to drawings as living entities, not mere art pieces. Nearby, a man in a frame observes birds, pondering whether they possess souls, a question that echoes through do these birds have souls? The conversation shifts to the way you speak. You don't refer to them simply as drawings, but as if they, suggesting a deeper connection between drawings and reality. A character in shadowy attire speaks about the roots children having no ego, unable to hold conversations like those of beings with souls, while a painter who draws dungeons reminds us that this is beyond what monsters can do. Another character, looking at a framed portrait, expresses uncertainty. I'm not sure. In another frame, a figure gently holds another's hand in a glowing effect, saying, Jio, you are certainly a painting, but at the same time you are human, as the discussion about his nature continues. A character dismisses another's divine status. I don't sense divinities from you either, so you are even less likely to be a G. The conversation pivots to the power of drawings, with one character stating that through your drawings, you can create a fate, a past, memories. Can you create actual people as well then? Another framed portrait reveals if he's doing all. In this dark, web-like structure, a glowing figure stands amidst shadows, hinting at something otherworldly and hidden. Cogio, voice tinged with reluctance, confesses his unease, but I do not even want to try that. He reflects on the creation of humans, feeling unsettled by its specialness. Creating humans feels unsettling. And I am not. His words trail off as he humbly asks others not to view him as special, emphasizing humility with a plea. Please don't think of me as too special. It would be better if you didn't. In an ornate hallway, another character assures, I'll be careful. Their words echoed in the quiet confidence of the room. The scene shifts to a ceiling filled with wooden beams and hanging lights, where a figure questions an association about sending something important. Cogio grapples with the enigmatic nature of a portrait, stating, all I can grasp right now is the story of the portrait. He delves deeper into mysteries surrounding another character's techniques and soul grade. What exact techniques it uses, how great the grade of its soul is, or what role. A stern-faced figure looms in the background, his presence adding a layer of intrigue and gravity to their conversation. A character in a military uniform discusses analyzing Gio's portrait, suggesting its potential impact on humanity. The camera cuts to curator Yuseong Gun, who grins confidently as he questions someone about their assigned tasks during hiring. Reflection and desire intermingle when another character says they're not interested in weapons, but rather artwork. This revelation leads directly into their founding of a guild and company with the declaration, that's why I founded this guild, this company. But as an artist, their hunter side remains unmentioned until they reflect on it with pride. The name Mr. Yuseong-gun appears, followed by a figure enveloped in a glowing aura within an ornate room, hinting at more than just artistry. Another character, holding an apple and pondering the story contained within a painting, echoes their desire to fully preserve that story through their own hands. The final shot reveals a man on a chair gazing intently into an ornate mirror, possibly reflecting back upon his dual identity as both artist and hunter. The camera pans across a face with tears streaming down, reflecting on their heart-wrenching journey. Suddenly, another face emerges, intense yellow eyes glinting like the sun, dark hair swirling dramatically. The first character gasps in realization as they question their companion's understanding. Don't you understand now? The scene shifts to a man in a suit, holding a small object that seems to hold immense power. Beside him hangs an ornate portrait glowing with life. Another whispers, "That may be a natural disaster, but we can communicate with it." A character expresses gratitude, and fortunately, it bears goodwill towards us. The focus shifts to a pair of hands holding a gemstone inscribed with the word jewel, underscoring its significance. As they marvel at this incredible luck and miracle, a glowing blue creature appears on someone's shoulder, declaring, "Whatever its true nature is, we mustn't foolishly let this miracle slip away." The scene cuts to a character in the kitchen, then another inquisitively asks, "So, that's why you bought JIO?" The auction room buzzes as characters discuss a character's appearance, leading to a reveal. Now that he's already appeared at an auction, he'll end up being revealed. The dialogue shifts to precautionary actions, and you're saying you acted first in case some disaster happened in the process. "I see quite a lot," says a man in a suit by the window as a glass shatters, revealing a creature with wings. The scene cuts to a character looking at a glowing object. Then a golden fish bubbles up with a gurgle. Gurgle. Characters debate someone's level and broader thinking. He's on a completely different level, isn't he? A gardener shouldn't be, so nah. JIO is a good person, very kind even. Another character praises. Meanwhile, a character expresses their feelings about inconvenience. He dislikes being inconvenienced, but he doesn't hate it. A thought bubble over a framed image of a house ponders kindness and discomfort. If someone doesn't resent what makes them uncomfortable, just how kind a person. The scene shifts to a silhouette of a hooded figure with a speech bubble detailing Gio's courteous mannerisms. He conducts himself with courtesy and while respecting others, and adds, he's also merciful. On top of that, he fears Lucio Gio, l'artiste enseignant page dans son propre tableau. Exprime esse disapprobation in disant. Ellie respecting others. Et ajoute avec un air. He's also merciful. On top of that, he fears it, you say? At most, it should feel like even less than a human. Son interlocutor rhetoric, less you toils done regard inquisitor. Didn't I say he was kind? Mais co geo ellenarampt avec un ton severe. You haven't even had a proper conversation with him, S-class, just by meeting him. Le Concilier insists sur les hautes standards nécessaires pour être un leader de guilds. You need at least this much ability to be a guild leader. Il Sugara and Suda son interlocuteur d'être un bon conversationniste avec Gio. Just become a good conversation partner for JIO. Et Louis conceal meme de lus sorter de temps and temps. And take him outside from time to time. Savoix tremble d'incredulite lorsqu'il dit. Are you serious? Un personnage en costume tenant un couteau murmure simplement. Kappa. Cogio se rappelle son rôle de curateur de collectionneurs avec détermination. A suited man in a city at night emphasizes, provide the greatest service that collector can offer to Gio. A man carrying a suitcase walks alone through the streets, his resolve evident as he says, "What a relief. I didn't want to." Suddenly, a voice interrupts, denouncing unethical research practices. The research they conduct there is practically abuse. The scene shifts to Yu Seong-gun, the gardener, walking down a dimly lit street with a briefcase. He meets a root entity, choosing someone to care for it, and the gardener devotes their heart and soul to the garden. Characters enter a dungeon through an archway, acknowledging that managing gardens influenced various dungeon difficulties. A framed portrait of Gio enjoying eating captures his simple pleasure amidst chaos. As snowflakes fall around another character in uniform, they feel strong curiosity and affection for their surroundings. Nearby, a street vendor prepares bunjapang at a stall, highlighting how these small joys connect with the larger narrative unfolding before them. A white-haired figure gazes up at a building, lost in thought. The guild leader speaks earnestly to another character by a food stall, their conversation touching on Gio's perception as a human. Meanwhile, a fish character mulls over maintaining a particular misconception for its own benefit. In another scene, a suited individual inquires about the age of someone holding a bag. only to find themselves in front of an ornate portrait revealing they're actually 33 years old, a fact that surprises them and another onlooker alike. The latter points out how often he's been told he looks older than his age, a comment that hurts deeply. A character in a trench coat with a box discusses acknowledging entities, even by someone like Bisabial, hinting at complex dynamics between beings. In a formal setting, they question the other about their age and appearance, finding themselves in another unexpected situation as one reveals a youthful appearance despite being 33. The scene concludes with a character drawing a sword, leaving viewers to ponder the intriguing mix of reality and fantasy unfolding before them. As Cogio reflects on a comment from a mysterious entity that he finds intriguing, he hears, "You look young." The scene then shifts to a framed portrait with text below it, reading, "If you're older, it's all right for you to speak casually." Gio expresses his desire for informal speech, while another character cajoles him. Can I? I'd like that. I don't recall asking you to use formal speech after." The conversation continues as one character offers a gift and asks about taking someone out. "Then I'll speak casually from now on. Here, it's a gift." Gio seems hesitant, but eager to try the new casual tone. The scene transitions to Gio's exploration on day 17, with two hands holding glowing orbs in a cosmic setting. He muses aloud. "If we call one person a root, then what we call a garden is like one part of that person, such as their blood vessels, fingernails, heart." The characters discuss fascinating stories and their mutual fascination. "Those are fascinating stories. I find you fascinating too, though." They then have a conversation about the challenges of maintaining a garden. "Even if you were chosen, maintaining a garden is pretty difficult. Plenty of pee." Gio questions further, "Is being a?" Gio looks at his reflection in a mirror, noting that he can now only see one hand sticking out. "This is my first time seeing only a hand stick out," he murmurs to himself. Meanwhile, another character in a forest setting speaks about difficulty. "Isn't it difficult?" Gio reflects on this small achievement with satisfaction, nodding and saying, "A little? Still, it's worth it." As the scene shifts, we see a towering snow-covered mountain and a glacier when he closes his eyes. "When I close my eyes, I see a towering snow-covered mountain and a glacier," Gio whispers. In another panel, a grand garden with lush greenery is depicted, captivating people. Its grandeur captivates people. Having a garden of his own feels incredibly wonderful for Gio. As he admires the garden, dark-haired character in a light-colored jacket stands in front, saying, "I understand." To which another character replies, "I feel the same." A ghostly figure then appears in a serene forest setting, with the caption, "I understand." Gio holds a glowing object, and another character's hand reaches out, prompting a twit sound. In another frame, a character in a suit with white hair and green eyes speaks, "Yeah," as he turns to look at Gio. A close-up of this character follows. Then we see him offering, "Do you perhaps want to come outside? Assuming you want to, I can show you around." Finally, back in the forest, another character holds a character questions the purpose of a place for sightseeing. For sightseeing? Meanwhile, another contemplates a significant proposal. Making some kind of proposal to a root entity is never something to be taken lightly. They discuss Gio's identity and its potential impact on reality. "We still haven't determined Gio's true identity, so we don't know what sort of influence he can have." Another character expresses resignation and wisdom about an inevitable event. "We cannot stop that. If it's going to happen anyway, it would be wise to learn as much about it as possible." They're instructed on how to handle an external situation. "It seems you don't know much about the situation outside. All you need to do is..." Has it come then? The time to return to society. A framed portrait of a person with text asks about timing. "When would be a good time?" A golden creature with a speech bubble says COO, and another text responds, "Dad is thinking it over." A hand holding a brush expresses fear from outside. "The people outside seemed afraid of me." They contemplate their ability to manifest paintings into reality. "I suppose when I go outside, a painting manifests in reality, so Perhaps a gap appears between the inside and the outside. A close-up of an eye reflects on distant employees. A watering can gently pours water onto the ground as Geo reflects on his plans to go outside with Mr. Yuseong-gun. Since I've already made plans to go outside with Mr. Yuseong-gun. A character wearing a wide-brimmed hat and gloves appears to be wiping their face, indicating a sense of relief or exhaustion. The scene transitions to a serene vegetable patch where a speech bubble indicates success. This content was a success too. Grandma's wise words float in the air. Grandma used to say, "Those who do no work shall not eat." A bird chirps, coo, curiously, and another character gives a thumbs up with the message. You're already doing your part by being cute. You're worrying over nothing. The bird then discusses its evolution. It was a bit absurd that you evolved to be able to speak, but since you're a diff, a man holds a cat and a rabbit, walking in a garden, exclaiming with delight, "Ook, do you like that? Good." The scene concludes as the character holding two gemstones addresses them affectionately. Then, precious one. The painter contemplates finishing his landscape paintings before resting his head against a tree trunk, sighing in relief at the end of a hard day's work. Nearby, another character holds a small stone-like object and confides with their companion that they're not sure about its origins, but find it oddly familiar. The same character then decides to name their golden object Honey, finding it too sweet for words. A bird perches on a branch, chirping in admiration at the painter's kindness. To think you don't hate this. You're truly merciful. The painter, now more focused than ever, returns to his canvas with renewed determination and begins sketching a circular frame on the wall. With a deft touch of his brush, he brings ocean waves to life on the paper, their gentle curves reflecting his serene state. As they continue their journey through a surreal landscape, two figures walk side by side through swirling flames and abstract shapes, each step bringing them closer to an as-yet undiscovered dimension. Geo, the art teacher trapped inside his paintings, stumbles upon another dimension, a glowing canvas on an easel in a dimly lit studio. As he gazes at it, he hears the voice of azuresenses.com whispering softly. The corresponding dimension has been found. A figure dressed in black lies asleep on a bed nearby, oblivious to the cosmic shifts unfolding around him. Outside, by the tranquil water, stands his quaint house, an idyllic setting that soon takes on new meaning as Geo contemplates the mysterious locations named in his paintings: Breathing Sea, Animal Kingdom, and City of Emptiness. He reflects on how he discovers dimensions through his landscape paintings. Suddenly, a small, glowing creature with a diamond in its mouth hovers near him, saying, "Hey." As if to mark the discovery, Geo's eyes widen. He realizes this is more than just art. It's an adventure waiting to unfold. In the dimly lit room, a character in a suit takes a drag from their cigarette, shrugging with a speech bubble that reads, "Well, it's fun, so I guess it's fine." Nearby, a hand clutches a golden object encrusted with a gemstone, muttering, "Maybe the system knew my naming skills and snatched away my chance to title my." They pause mid-sentence, their eyes wide as a text bubble pops up. But what do adapter and synchronization mean here? A figure in question stares at the other, asking, "What is an adapter?" The other replies, "Right, so you do have a conscience. Hurry up," and they are interrupted as a thought bubble flashes, a method for understanding unfamiliar dimensions more convenient. Another character peers at a display, contemplating. Among the existing beings within the displayed dimension, the target corresponds to. They gesture towards an ornate doorway where a figure with a skull mask and red hair appears, explaining, "If the adapter's consent is obtained by borrowing their soul and body, one can." A character holding a small, glowing object seems deep in thought. Another silhouette reflects on their sync rate and adaptability. And if that were the case, would they have gone so far as to call them adapter? A final character looks at A. The screen prompts Geo with a crucial choice. Would you like to register it? The corresponding dimension does not exist, leaving him on edge. Kneeling before it, he feels his life getting increasingly vibrant. "I can hear my life getting flashier all the way from here." A man off-panel shares in the joy of Geo's experience. Life is an incredible thing, honey. If I don't enjoy this content right now, I'm... Suddenly, a notification pops up with a resolution tip. New notification, tip, resolution problem, urging him to use JIO as the solution. Pointing at a portrait labeled Giovanni, he exclaims, "Reason enough to enjoy it." In another scene, Geo sits in a lab coat on a table with glowing blue energy, hinting at some scientific breakthrough. Frustration mounts as he laments the delivery service. What an inconsiderate delivery service. Honey isn't here either. He wonders aloud about his surroundings. So where is this? Breathing sea connected to Giovanni's mental world. Standing at a door. Another character questions, A character with long blonde hair and blue eyes is depicted in a close-up, their expression serious as they stand at a door, questioning another character's presence. The kimono-clad individual appears distressed, shouting H in alarm. A figure in a dark robe steps forward, saying hello, reflecting on their appearance as it seems eerily similar to the other person's. Geo introduces himself with a serene expression and glowing aura, identifying another character as the adapter. In response, Giovanni of the Batlon family greets Geo, stating, "It's a pleasure to meet you. I am Giovanni of the Batland family." Geo reveals he's the one responsible for adapting characters into real forms, to which Giovanni comments, "You look very much like me. If I were a foreigner, I suppose this is what I'd look like." The conversation deepens as they discuss their similarities in various aspects, and Geo admires Giovanni's kind smile, saying, "I cannot smile as kindly as you do." Meanwhile, a student is reflecting on their struggles with smiling, explaining, "I've never been good at smiling itself, so people misunderstood me quite often." The scene shifts to Geo teaching art in his classroom. A drawing of a potato captures the student's attention as one thinks about food while the lunch bell rings, followed by a playful sound effect, ding 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 dong, in the text. The lunch bell rings, followed by a playful sound effect, ding 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 dong, in the text. As the teacher Geo reflects on his student's nostalgic sentiments, he contemplates synchronization, asking if it's possible. He then seeks consent for a significant action involving the students. A character asks if there is any fear or resentment among them. In response to robbing something for appreciation, another character asserts they are not robbing and are already dead. As their soul returns to the sun while their body becomes earth and is buried, Geo ponders the state of land flooded by seawater. A suited figure with purple hair stands against a wall, then inquires about Giovanni's homeland being flooded, discovering it was swallowed by seawater. The distressed character grapples with this reality. The character's voice echoes underwater as they share their story. The fact that your homeland was destroyed seems like far too deep a story to tell. Below them, Fish and Bubbles listen intently as the dialogue continues. "Yes, I will listen closely. What remains in that world now is probably only. The planet has shrunk into a dungeon-like structure with rules, prompting reflection on concepts from the past. Our planet has now shrunk like a single board game and became a dungeon that." Geo, in his contemplation, compares this new reality to another dimension he's heard about, a dungeon. "I remember hearing about that from Gun. Another dimension," he explains with a touch of revelation. "It was a concept that did not originally exist in our world, so I didn't know." A cloaked figure with glowing eyes appears upside down, surging forward with intensity as the dialogue shifts. "But we are by no means the same person. We are simply two people who miraculously share a great many things in common." However, their relationship deepens further when Geo declares, "However, from this moment on, my soul will become one with yours, Master Geo." The scene shifts as another character speaks of their own reincarnation and merging souls. You might call it some kind of resurrection and reincarnation. "I will seep into you, spend more time, make memories." A serene scene unfolds with a tree and glowing orbs, suggesting a peaceful moment amidst the transformation. And the root? Geo pondered, lost in thought as an unfamiliar concept echoed through his mind. It may still be an unfamiliar concept to you, a voice said, implying that even though they were discussing it, it was beyond their comprehension. The conversation shifted to the mysterious place called the Root, where Geo resided. He wasn't alone in this knowledge. Another character shared the same revelation. So we cannot know what name it actually has or what rules and form it possesses, a cosmic figure reflected, adding depth to the discussion. With humble resolve, one character vowed to answer any call that came their way. For a humble soul like me, all I can do is answer the call and respond to you. Another character, clasping hands in prayer, added, however, if possible. The question lingered as they sought refuge under the protection of the sun god from another world. Would you look after the sun god of the world I came from? A character in a black outfit adjusted their collar, while another expressed doubt and shared similar concerns. Me? I'm only an ordinary human being. So how could I? So much pressure. The dialogue delved into the fate of gods and the consequences of being forgotten. But unless it's the Root, even a god is eventually forgotten if it has no belief, they pondered. A dramatic scene unfolded with a fiery background and text reminding them to remember their purpose. Simply remember him, urged a celestial figure with wings, offering advice on borrowing power from. Geo stands before a glowing figure, contemplating borrowing power, his mind racing as he considers the celestial advice. Off-panel, a priest shaped by sunlight offers. A priest shaped by sunlight. I swear it won't be too burdensome for you. He reflects on this, comparing it to visiting elderly people alone, noting, so it's roughly like visiting elderly people who live alone. A potato character expresses confidence and shares his experience. I'm good at that. I've had experience doing volunteer work since my university days. Geo relieves himself, handing something over with a smile. Haha, what a relief. I leave it in your hands. He then questions his burden of looking after someone. There anything else you want? Hey, isn't the request to look after a god also? Reflecting on the past, he realizes, it seemed like it earlier, but not anymore. Three characters sitting on a bench discuss their backgrounds and abilities. One reveals, for someone like me, who lived in a mountain village in Kangwon-do, while another adds, putting on a. Arya calls out urgently, Arya? Geo responds, Arya? He then introduces his student with a sense of duty. That's the name of. Geo pleads desperately, please, give her an ending, as he searches for any solution to the unfolding narrative. The camera zooms out from his worried face to reveal a quaint house nestled in a lush forest, where a golden fish with jewels on its belly swims gracefully. Suddenly, a figure clad in a cloak appears in profile, looking up towards an unknown direction, perhaps harboring secrets or seeking answers. Giovanni's quest objectives are then shown. Communicate with the sun god 0 firsts, and give the Little Mermaid and E. The tension builds as a ghostly figure with a sad expression is seen, the sound of a door creaking ominously in the background. Cold and harsh, text overlaid reads, cold, too harsh to endure, hinting at the character's struggles. A comforting voice soothes one character, saying, Dad's okay, honey. Geo's anguish is palpable as he experiences intense pain, his flesh being torn apart physically and metaphorically. The scene cuts to a mysterious splash of ink with Korean text in the background, leaving viewers puzzled. Whose senses are these? Finally, an assimilation rate of 1% appears on screen, adding an element of intrigue and tension to Geo's ongoing ordeal as he draws scenes with dramatic lighting and flowing lines. Geo clutches his chest, finding solace in his own resolve as he mutters, I'm all right. In a contemplative moment amidst jagged rocks and a vast sky, a figure sits lost in thought. There is no problem, they declare with confidence. The scene shifts to reveal a character with long hair and a glowing eye, their expression enigmatic. Suddenly, a figure draped in white appears beside them, their presence both mysterious and reassuring. I don't regret it, the second character affirms, their words heavy with conviction. Below, another distressed Geo sits on the ground, his body language reflecting sheer exhaustion or despair. Above him, the blonde-haired figure smiles warmly, gazing up as if in remembrance. I was happy. A soft light blinks, and a sudden disappointment rings through. How terrible, I sec. As the character reflects on their surroundings, they note, there's a sun everywhere you look here, though a sense of foreboding lingers. Then, without warning, a light bulb shatters against the backdrop of this surreal landscape, leaving an air of unsettling finality. A glowing object streaks across the night sky, leaving a trail of light that hints at something otherworldly. Simultaneously, a hand presses a button on a laptop, indicating a desperate attempt to find answers or escape their predicament. The scene cuts to a character with red hair and a bandana covering one eye, wearing a studded leather jacket, who appears wary yet determined. A speech bubble appears next, urging the group to take preventive measures, but it's clear these actions may not be enough in this surreal world. The camera then zooms out on a notice that reads, "Recently, there was an unfortunate disturbance," setting off a wave of curiosity and concern among those gathered around. A close-up shows the green-eyed character with dark hair, eyes wide with alarm as they discuss this new official notice. Two other characters stand in front of a door, their silhouettes casting eerie shadows against the darkness. They debate the mysterious black cloak figure mentioned on the notice. Some believe it's just another prank, but others are convinced there's more to it. The tension mounts as they ponder whether Gio, the new employee and cloaked figure, is a person or something else entirely, adding layers of mystery to their already strange situation. Interpreting the world through his unique lens, Gio and his fellow teachers, Interpret and my ass, engage in a tense conversation that hints at something beyond the ordinary. The mysterious figure with glowing eyes looms large as they debate his nature, certain he's not human despite appearances. In the next frame, another teacher, hesitant about an idea, expresses concern over workload increases. A man in a suit sighs heavily, reflecting on their responsibilities and the occasional influx of extra work. Still, he murmurs, they do pay us accordingly. The thought bubble containing true signals a contemplative pause in their discussion. Two characters then make mention of Schrodinger's human and ghost connection, linking it back to recent commotion. The guild leader decides they can now leave alone, emphasizing safety over interference. With this decision made, everyone agrees to follow the rules at hand. They stand together for a moment, Interpret in his usual attire, my ass in his suit and tie, before one character points out their connection to ajuriskin.com as they work on something behind a laptop. As the characters discuss managing tasks without Yu Seong-gun's presence, one observes their colleagues' distress and suggests treating them to a meal soon. Praise is directed at another's employee choices as they talk about acquiring something new. Indifferent colleagues are noted for being wonderfully indifferent, leading to laughter when mentioning a new hire. The conversation shifts to regulating collector employees to prevent rudeness towards Gio, before turning serious about protecting him from civilian mishaps due to his grade. A suited character advises preventing issues with collector employees and discusses the potential ramifications if an S-class suddenly appeared. They then delve into Hunter's public attention, national pride, and how rumors will spread quickly when stories about them become public. A figure in a cloak, surrounded by silhouettes of other figures, muses on scale reduction as they discuss safety measures with a comrade. For the roof's children, they say, their danger level decreases depending on the scale of its reduction. A uniformed character reflects on significant damage, only to be reminded of their obligation, as someone who has to go with him. Amidst this, another expresses hope and concern about a guild leader's expectations. Meanwhile, a mysterious sound echoes through the room, followed by a character standing before a door, contemplating their next move. But all I can do is hope Gio responds like a gentleman. The scene shifts as feet in black dress shoes and pants step onto a tiled floor, leading to another figure in a long black cloak standing in an ornate room. Next, we see a character in a trench coat inside the same luxurious building, their expression curious as they encounter a mysterious glowing light with a puzzled expression. In the dimly lit room, Cogo, his dark hair falling over his serious face as he encounters a mysterious glowing light. Wonders aloud, huh? Suddenly, a figure with an enigmatic aura appears beside him, and Cogo notices something is off. Something seems different about him. The scene shifts to a character in formal attire, speaking to someone off-panel. Did I keep you waiting? No, I came out early. A mysterious change in the voice accompanies this shift, heightening the tension with. Even his voice is different from usual. Next, we see a character with white hair and blue eyes crying, their tears mingling with text on the screen. asapaskins.com, while another panel reveals a framed portrait of a man with an eerie tone. His tone is so polished it feels uncanny, and the pressure that came from the DI. Reflecting back to precautions taken, Cogo remarks, I took measures. A character in a suit questions, measures, and another reflects on their appearance, explaining, I tried adjusting myself so that others wouldn't be alarmed when they see me. 2 days after synchronization with Giovanni use, the scene changes to Cogo crouching on the floor, relieved but concerned. Yes, Dad is all right. His hand reaches out toward a golden ring adorned with a red gemstone. Cogo, our protagonist, stands before an adapter, his hand outstretched toward a golden ring with a red gemstone. As they discuss the assimilation process, the scene shifts to Giovanni Batlon holding an apple and speaking, saying, Ahem. Progress is much faster when I'm in Giovanni's personality. But even when I'm not, the assimilation rate itself is slowly rising. Reflecting on this, another character notes, even though they're memories I never experienced, little by little, as if recalling Giovanni's emotions and memories are assimilating with me. He is warm-hearted and affectionate, yet possesses a gentle charisma that can hold people together, and while he has his flaws, he is someone who values daily life with the people around him even more. The scene shifts to tools and a glowing tree in serene surroundings before returning to Giovanni's peaceful floral setting. Gio contemplates their brains' separation and Giovanni's personality, musing, It's rare to experience something that feels like my left and right brain. And it is just as the system advised. A speech bubble and sign advise following the system's tip. Resolution solution utilize Gio. The man in a black shirt with a golf club is seen holding his club, seemingly lost in thought, as the camera cuts to Cogo, synchronizing his personality with Giovanni's. Gio reflects on his hunger and need for regular sleep while eating and resting peacefully, unaware of how his existence has transformed. He then stands up, deciding he needs to clean the bathroom. As he contemplates his appearance more human-like, Gio realizes he is currently famished and suggests they should go somewhere. The scene shifts as two characters walk together. One gives directions, while Cogo expresses disbelief at the situation unfolding before him. A door slowly closes behind them, indicating a change in their environment or perhaps a new challenge. Cogo reflects on a mistake he made, realizing it was about targeting the wrong thing. Fearing humans would be crushed by his actions, he cut off his own limbs metaphorically, leading to an horrific act. Gio stands, visibly shaken but trying to compose himself, as a concerned voice asks if he's okay. Gio nods firmly, stating he's fine despite the unsettling situation. Reflecting on someone's unusual gift-giving habit, another character wonders aloud about the timing of such behavior. The scene shifts to a statue as a rich-looking individual admires it with admiration. Meanwhile, Gio contemplates how malicious people can be troublesome if they come near him. 3 figures in dark attire bow solemnly, possibly acknowledging an unseen presence or leader. A close-up reveals Gio's eyes, hinting at more than just sudden actions he might take. A masked and sun-goggled figure stands beside a large, dark feathered creature, adding to the mystery of their world. Another character expresses regret over not preparing for potential threats in time, worrying about provoking humans. The cloaked and armored figure walks away, perhaps seeking solitude or reflection. Finally, Gio gazes up at the sky with a contemplative expression, pondering how things have changed since he last emerged from his painting world, feeling more aware of the challenges around him now than ever before. The characters explore a world of varied and distinctive scenery, taking in the beauty that surrounds them. Suddenly, a character with blue hair and wings appears, holding another character upside down as if testing their strength. From behind, they watch as a group of people carrying swords march past, and one of these swordsmen addresses someone else with Harmum, Halmon. Beside him stands a character with wings and a sword, whispering something to the other. As Geo reflects on his status, he's complimented for their aura, with Geo responding, "As expected. Even after lowering my grade, I'm still drawing attention." A hooded figure instructs someone else to keep their cloak hood on, saying, "For now, just in case, let's keep your cloak hood on," which the other character confirms with a nod. They discuss taking an elevated train to a restaurant and marvel at how incredible it is to see such modern marvels in this futuristic setting. The hooded figure hands over their card for fare payment, saying, "For the fare, here, I'll give you my card," offering unlimited spending power with the comment. "If there's anything you want to buy, you can use this." There's no limit to what they can purchase. A cloaked figure stands at an entrance, tapping a glowing card with a shutter. "Why would you give me a card with no limit?" a character exclaims fearfully. Nearby, a security guard looks on, his eyes wide as he tries to tap the same card. The atmosphere is tense as another hand leaves a mysterious mark on a glass surface. Two characters stand by a seemingly deserted train platform. It feels like public transportation, but there aren't many people around. One of them, in a black jacket with white hair and blue eyes, gestures dismissively. They watch as the train departs without much fanfare. On another platform, two figures discuss the cost of public transport, noting that it's too expensive for most people to afford regularly. The scene shifts to a subway station where they continue their conversation about economic inequality. One character observes the time and notices an unusually low number of passengers. Typically there are 10 or more, but only 8 people at 8:38 a.m. Confused, one asks if this is the middle of work, to which another responds in disbelief, "Did I just hear that wrong?" The discussion about society's dynamics continues as they realize everyone seems to be working, yet even with their presence, there are fewer than usual riders on public transport. As they walk through a snowy urban landscape, one character ponders their return to society and the oppressive nature of capitalism, muttering, "Maybe rather than returning to society and becoming a slave to capitalism again." Nearby, a figure in a hooded cloak walks away, questioning, "Is human rights not a thing in this country?" The scene shifts to a snowy scene where a thief stands, and the character remembers a bunjapang given previously. "Oh right, do you remember the bunjapang I gave you before?" The other responds with gratitude in a speech bubble, yes. I'll give you a token of gratitude soon." Despite reluctance, the first character agrees to do something anyway, saying, "You really don't have to?" Well, anyway, as they continue their journey, they discuss street food options, with one character suggesting, "That's what you'd call street food. If we're lucky, we might find some while They order 3 red bean and 2 custard from a street vendor. The conversation turns to the variety of foods they want to include. It's not just bunjapang. There should be takoyaki, egg bread, and oden, too. 2 characters are then seen sitting on a train. One in black robes asks, "Do you know oden?" The other feels misunderstood. A character reveals an unlimited card and says with resignation, "No. Thanks to being treated like a monster like this, he's willing to accept." A street vendor speaks off-panel about scarcity, saying, "I'll look as hard as I can, but don't get your hopes up too much. There aren't many." The narrative then shifts to a speech bubble about city work. To begin with, it's not the type of work that city people would usually want to do. A man in a bucket hat and face mask adds, and once a complaint comes in, not only is their business affected, but if they... COGO observes the separation between city and provincial people, noting, "It seems like city people and provincial people are being strictly separated." The camera cuts to a train on a bridge in the city, with someone muttering, I guess they are. Why is that?" A character in a trench coat speaks about societal climate. "I'm not sure how to explain this, but that's just the climate of society itself." Another character expresses that something being shameful is notable, saying, I do think it's shameful. The conversation then turns to hunter ranks and classifications as someone holds up a hunter license. With a serious tone, they discuss the grading system. But right now, we classify each other by assigning grades. Finally, silhouettes of people observe a cityscape at sunset with a somber note. Even if their income or job isn't great, anyone who lives in the city is. A hooded figure stands against a backdrop of towering skyscrapers, his cloak billowing in the wind as he speaks about the growing inequality in society. This isn't just the rich getting richer and the poor getting poorer. It's something more insidious. Nearby, two masked figures with weapons stand solemnly before an imposing building. One asks, "Is there a reason for that division?" The dialogue box reveals infrastructure crucial for defense lines. The biggest factor is the infrastructure for building defense lines. In another scene, a futuristic cityscape unfolds with digital elements and mountainous terrain in the background, hinting at advanced technology coexisting with natural landscapes. Two characters outside a Korean restaurant discuss the monsters that remain uncontrolled from the Great Catastrophe, questioning why some creatures were left unchecked. Among these monsters, those that weren't subjugated early on. For that reason, there's a primary defensive wall around the outskirts of the city. A dragon soars majestically over this urban metropolis, its wings casting shadows over both traditional and modern structures below. As they discuss building durability, COGO reveals that materials extracted from monsters power their city's safety measures, despite resource limitations. Suddenly, they are startled by a large creature lurking through the forest. In the provinces, danger looms everywhere if one isn't cautious. Amidst this chaos, a hand flips food on a plate, revealing that some choose not to eat monster meat due to cultural shifts. A character's surprise at this revelation leads into a broader discussion about how daily life has drastically changed in just 31 years. As they sit down to enjoy a meal, the bulgogi remains delicious despite these dramatic transformations, with only the soft glow of lanterns illuminating their urban setting. In a picturesque winter setting, COGO and his companions stand by Cheongyecheon Pool, despite the season. The warm water contrasts with the cold air around them, and they discuss the city's landscaping and magic. With a nod to the rules, anyone can enter except Grade 5 citizens and dangerous monsters. They delve into the mysteries of the area. As their eyes are drawn to a peculiar bird, Geo marvels. "Oh, there's a bird here I've never seen before." They examine it curiously as another character explains it's called a cotton ball bird due to its appearance. The conversation shifts to a hooded figure who reveals they've encountered similar creatures that can coexist now. When asked about his appearance and the bird's interest in him, Geo finds himself complimented on his charm. One suggests trying the warm water. "The water's warm too, so try dipping your feet in." As the companion hesitates, Geo reassures with a smile. "It's fine. There aren't many people around at this hour anyway." Stepping into the water quietly, he feels its distinct scent, noting it smells different from past waters. As the camera pans over the shimmering water, an admiring voice exclaims, "It's beautiful water, clear and deep." The scent is unmistakable and strange, sweet, yet different from anything Geo has encountered before. A character with white hair and a cigarette in his mouth turns to observe, their eyes narrowed as they ponder the unfamiliar smell. "Water with a strange, sweet scent," he murmurs thoughtfully. Another figure stands nearby, thinking aloud. "Jiao?" The water takes on an uncanny resemblance to the sea Geo had longed for. Water that resembles the sea in that place. A questioning voice follows. "Why does this place smell like the SEA?" Suddenly, a freezing effect engulfs them all, and a character with blue hair and green eyes softly calls out, "Jiao." Another figure with long blonde hair and a hat is surrounded by water effects. They reply, "Okay," in an urgent tone. An apologetic speech bubble pops up. Beyond. A dramatic scene unfolds as one character addresses another. "You," while the other asks, "You're SEOJIO, right?" In a dimly lit environment, two hooded figures converse solemnly. "That's right." In a dimly lit hallway, COGO introduces himself solemnly. "My name is JIO." The camera shifts to reveal a determined figure with white hair who hands over a room key card, saying, "Here, this is your room key card." A neighbor informs him of their location and dinner plans before confirming, "Right," as they prepare for the evening. Gio says goodbye, advising rest. "Then get some rest. See you later." As night falls, a figure crouches in the hallway, reflecting on an earlier mysterious sighting. "That thing I saw earlier. Blue-haired and wearing a white hat," another character exclaims, "wasn't human." Gio contemplates his identity and introduction in Korea, noting, maybe because he was conscious of himself being in Korea, but Jio has been intro. He then questions someone about a change they've noticed. After seeing that change, I deliberately asked if he was Seojio. A distorted close-up with jarring colors and lines reveals the main character, Gio, who has redefined himself as simply Jio instead of Seojio. He leans against a wall, his expression one of distress. A voice reflects, "I let my guard down because his grade had dropped." Meanwhile, another figure in a cloak struggles to disguise its true form. And no matter how closely it dresses itself up to resemble a human, it can never beck. Nature itself assumes the form of a human. Gio is terrified as he watches a hand manipulating water with a sword. In another part of the room, a character on a laptop reacts with shock, terrifying. Meanwhile, in the background, someone admires the view from the 45th floor with excitement. So this is the view from the 45th floor. RR000. Gio holds a glowing object, pondering, "Really? Daddy's in a good mood too." He speaks to it. "It's a shame I can't feed you, since I BROUG." As he lies on the bed with a speech bubble above him. "Yes. When we go back, let's make whatever we want with the leftover fruit syrup." Gio's head was completely empty, but still, things had been going smoothly so far. A gloved hand held another character down, trying to mimic a human form. In the meantime, a gloved hand held a watch with a speech bubble stating, "Please let this trip end without anything happening." Gio reacted once again to the water, and it splashed dramatically in the canal leading to the restaurant. Suddenly, Gio shouted out loudly. The scene cut to him standing amidst falling snow, wearing a hat and cape, as he tried to calm someone. "You're scaring the driver." A character leaned over another, with the word love written above them, showing an intimate moment. Another character on a boat expressed curiosity about the waterway. I'm sorry, I've never seen a waterway like this, so my curiosity." The salty breeze hit Gio's face as he observed the scent of the sea, his eyes narrowing slightly with curiosity. Even so, this place smells of the sea too. On a boat, another character tried to restrain him, saying, "If you act like you're about to jump off the boat all of a sudden." Gio sighed in relief. "I was just worried you'd get hurt, so it's fine. Thank you for understanding." His eyes closed briefly as he remembered something poignant. A speech bubble floated up with text asking, "Do you perhaps like the sea?" They were on a boat in turbulent waters now, three figures struggling against the force of nature. The panel described the effect of aquatic monsters on water levels. The water here is affected by aquatic monsters, which raise the water level. As they sailed through Cheongyecheon earlier, Gio wondered aloud. It was the same at Cheongyecheon earlier. I wonder if you especially liked it. A hooded figure with a mask replied nonchalantly. No? Gio hesitated. But. Reflecting on Giovanni's opinion, he muttered to himself in a low voice, I think Giovanni likes it. He held hands with another character and said with conviction, I believe he likes it. The character on the boat, cloaked and white-haired, scratched their head with a puzzled expression, muttering, What kind of yes answer is that? Then, they turned to face another character who was also gazing at them curiously, asking, Do mermaids exist here too? The first character reflected on the previous exchange, shrugging and saying, He just said here too, didn't he? Mermaids, huh? Another character joined in, questioning, Does he have some connection to the sea or mermaids? As they pondered this, a monstrous figure materialized beside them, its presence ominously suggested by the dialogue. Sometimes monsters like that do pop up. Even if they're not monsters, there are. The scene shifted dramatically as a character with a glowing aura was surrounded by objects of worship and legends, captioned with "Objects of Worship, Legends, and Myths." Another character, dark-haired and hooded, gazed intently at something off-panel. Suddenly, the planet shrunk down like a single game board, transforming into a dungeon-like structure. The camera focused on Cogo as he introduced Giovanni's quest in the manhwa. Giovanni's quest to communicate with the sun god, 0 to 1, and bring an end to the little. Finally, a hooded figure spoke softly, "We're here, sir," while another character expressed admiration for a restaurant, exclaiming, "Ooh, what a gorgeous restaurant." The boat glides toward a peculiar shell-shaped structure, its fate sealed as a remnant of a fixed dungeon that once served as an unexpected restaurant. At their meal, characters embark on a discussion about different types of dungeons, with one questioning, "A fixed dungeon? Do you not know much about the types of dungeons?" The dialogue then dives into explaining how dungeons are broadly divided into fixed ones that remain stationary and virtual dungeons, which lack physical boundaries and activate by swallowing. Meanwhile, 10 men in their 30s gather at a convenience store under the shadow of an impending dungeon raid. Day 1. Dungeon Activation Conditions 1. A hooded figure reflects on the unfairness of ending up here, muttering, "That sounds incredibly unfair. To think you could go to a convenience store and..." Another character shares that even though virtual dungeons are rare, they're hard to find. The discussion shifts to how fixed dungeons form terrain that wasn't originally there. A man in a suit with cutlery adds to the ambience as he reflects on the scene. The story takes a culinary twist when we see a dungeon related to cooking materialize, and an ordinary civilian chef, who had never even hunted before, was dragged into it by chance. The final celebration comes from a raccoon character, declaring, "The taste of home we'd forgotten. Quest complete." Perfect. The story is incredibly touching, as one character expresses emotional reaction to it. After the dungeon raid, another reveals that person underwent awakening as a chef class. If you saw them now, they'd look about 50 years old. The hooded figure reflects on these changes, declaring, "I want to stop being so shocked by this changed world, but the fact that you have awakened makes me feel something I haven't felt in a long time." Anyway, in this way, terrain from an alien dimension replaces existing terrain. Dialogue about dungeon entry passages continues. Last year, I encountered a lone passage, and by going inside, I entered another world's dimension and proceeded to the next level. A character explains, "In this way, terrain from an alien dimension replaces existing terrain." Another character in a thought bubble says, "I understand all of it." A man in a suit sits at a table, questioning the meal. "How was the meal? Was it all right?" The response is glowing. "It wasn't just all right, it was excellent. It was a lovely meal that reminded me of meals I had with my disciples." The man in a suit covers his face with his hand, seemingly moved by the thought. The man in a suit nods with satisfaction, saying, "I'm glad you seem to have enjoyed it." At a nearby table, two characters are deep in conversation, one in a suit and the other in casual attire. The suited individual speaks earnestly to their companion, who seems to be imitating human behavior, gently reminding them with, "Please, Jio. If you're going to imitate humans, at least pretend to pay attention." Panel text reveals, humans are more social creatures than you think. As they discuss leaving for Gyeongbokgung Palace, one character proposes, "Let's get out of here quickly. Then shall we head to Gyeongbokgung Palace?" No. A hooded figure stands in a dimly lit room, gazing out of the frame. In another panel, characters speak about past field trips with their class, sharing, "I took my class there on field trips a few times." The scene shifts to a contemplative moment where someone muses, "I wonder if those children are living well in a world like this." A hooded figure appears serene and thoughtful. With anticipation in their voice, another character says, "I'm looking forward to it." The video then cuts to an image of a kite gracefully flying over a cityscape at night, with the characters' voices echoing, "Hun." As they prepare to bid farewell to hunters, one character concludes. In the traditional attire, one character stands proudly as their companion admires their outfit with a smile. "That suits you, Gio." It was a reminder of how much things had changed since they first arrived here. Gio musing on his past chaperoning duties in Hanbok. The scene shifted to an adult addressing a group of children in traditional Korean attire, the man's voice full of warmth despite the kids' boredom. Then came the tender embrace between two characters, their connection palpable even through the panels. Reflecting on transformations, one character pondered how their old place had evolved into something more worthwhile. In another turn, Gio faced a glowing, ethereal figure that seemed to hold secrets. The white circle with the dotted line against a starry background hinted at something otherworldly. As Mr. Yu Seong-gun's name appeared, followed by a character with white hair and a blue shirt lost in thought, they questioned each other about mysterious glowing objects in the sky. The atmosphere was heavy with wonder as one character expressed surprise at another's lack of knowledge about these beings, leaving them both to ponder what more this world had in store for them. They observed a glowing, ethereal figure, whispering, living stories. The characters pondered their appearance, one asking, "Is this your first time seeing them somewhere like this?" As they discussed the Roots' children, another character recalled, "You said something similar last time." A hand holding a hot dog with ketchup and mustard was examined curiously. One character responded, "You mean the Roots' children?" The mystery deepened as the conversation drifted to the root, which one had briefly mentioned when introducing gardeners. The root I briefly mentioned when I introduced the gardeners last time. Another realization dawned on a character. "Oh, so it's a system." A mysterious figure with glowing eyes explained. "Things born from the roots of that root are called the root's children," elaborating further as they realized. Among them, those are the root's children called fairy tales. And while they're just nature imitating something like a concept, a masked figure added, "They're skilled at dressing up their outer appearance, so no one can see the root's children." As one character pointed out another's surprise, both exclaims, "Kara, right," confirming that those who could see them were rare. A character in traditional attire drinks from a cup, explaining, "In days gone by, one could see these roots' children like those." The earth under Roots' influence suddenly transformed. Dungeons appeared, and awakened people began to surface. "As you can see," said another, "I'm one of the few talented people who can witness them." Reflecting on their awakening through a portrait, they mused, "I suppose I am as well." A character in traditional attire nodded, captioned with Kaichan, while others recalled a past incident involving mistreatment. "Huh, just treated me like a monster again," one complained. Suddenly, the sound of fighting echoed through their world. Guards observed two characters engaged in a scuffle. "Oh dear," cried another. A character holding a brush, possibly painting, watched as they were soon apprehended by the guards. Meanwhile, someone was creating a frame and checking safety levels 0 to 1 for rewards. Seal creation. One person looked surprised, while others dragged one of their own away, leaving them bewildered yet certain something was amiss. A figure in traditional attire is pointed at, sparking curiosity from Gio. "He just looks like a decent young man who got picked on. So why?" The scene shifts to a menacing character looming over another, with the second character exclaiming, "TYK danger level." In an instant, danger escalates as one character is threatened with a knife, with Gio questioning aloud, "Is it okay for someone that dangerous to just walk around freely?" Gio is then hit by another figure, and in a moment of surprise and self-doubt, he stammered, Did I stare too hard?" The tension builds as they all react to a glowing object, with one exclaiming, "Gurgle, pududo." Suddenly, the character in traditional attire accidentally drops a scroll, muttering, "Whoops." Gio confronts someone about hiding something. "Hiding it doesn't mean I didn't see it, Gio." They discuss the water bird, with Gio saying, "Wait, is that the water bird you showed me before? The color's a little diff." Confused and resigned, another character remarks, "It seems so, right? I guess it's about time Earth ended again." A character in traditional attire pauses with a thoughtful expression as if pondering something significant. The scene shifts to a figure in traditional attire walking towards two silhouetted figures, creating an air of mystery and anticipation. Another character, wearing a large hat, looks down with a concerned look on their face, hinting at underlying tension or worry. Amidst the chaos, a character expresses fear about someone's feelings. I don't think he liked me. This sets the stage for a tense conversation where characters debate whether to retreat from an encounter, leading to a discussion about leaving the hotel. The urgency is palpable as they consider their options, with one character stating, "I'd like to return to the hotel." Another character, however, decides against it. "You're leaving already? Sure, if that's what you want." Despite the decision to depart, another character expresses a deep love for eating tteokbokki, saying, "Before we go, I'll buy just 3 more cups of tteokbokki." The scene transitions to night as one character stands on a rooftop, clearly frustrated and confused. What the hell was that bastard just now? They consider venturing out again, but decide against it, noting they would normally approach someone's activities. The camera then focuses on another character in a top hat and suit holding a camera, suggesting a possible investigation or surveillance is underway. Finally, the conversation returns to Curator Hunter Gun, with one character asking. The one beside him was Curator Hunter Gun, right? The figure in traditional attire, Cogio, was left stunned as he realized what had transpired. Fuck, I knew something was off. He's definitely awakened. The air felt charged with urgency. It was only for an instant, but it felt like his personal information was being exposed, a moment of vulnerability. Or awakened people with skills that let them see the past are surprisingly common, he muttered, realizing the gravity of their situation. As the sun cult ceremony loomed closer, Cogio reflected on how far he had gone to set up this trap and the potential consequences if his foe noticed any discrepancies. As expected, "I'll have to kill him." Just as he prepared himself for the inevitable confrontation, a sudden gurgle echoed through the air. Startled, another character exclaimed, "What? I've never seen that bird before," as they spotted an unfamiliar bird in their line of sight. Confusion followed as this tamer questioned ownership. "No, wait. Is this that bastard's?" Another character demanded to know why a spy had been sent against him. As the tension mounted, Cogio vowed to catch and trace back any rookie hunters who made the same mistake he had seen too many times before. The scene then cut to a character in a lab coat with wires attached to their head and body, hinting at the high stakes of this unfolding drama. As Cogio and his friends grappled with their newfound reality, confusion and distress filled the air. "Huh?" One character stammered, clearly bewildered by their situation. Nearby, another clutched a glowing object, its fiery aura casting an eerie light that accentuated their fear. The scene shifted to a masked figure appearing before an old building, prompting the exclamation, "This is," suddenly. A dark figure with glowing eyes emerged from a cave, surrounded by blood and chaos, sending shockwaves through the group. The tension crescendoed as someone's hand snapped sharply, breaking something in their grasp. Light rays passed through a door, suggesting an escape or a pivotal moment. In a close-up, 2 characters found themselves on the verge of a kiss, their expressions reflecting both intimacy and anxiety. Another character questioned, "Honey?" The scene cut to a dimly lit room where someone sat alone on a bed, voice barely audible. As the text panel revealed, "Honey" had been taken away, leaving the remaining characters in despair. Pleas for help echoed through the silence as one character pleaded, "Please," while another cried out, "Can't you just leave me in peace? I might end up crying." The tension and emotional turmoil culminated in a vivid portrayal of their desperate struggle to find resolution amidst the chaotic reality they were trapped within. The scene opens with a food cart in a city park at dusk, casting long shadows across the scene as 2 characters stand on a path discussing their strange sightings. "Ever since I was young, I've been able to see strange things," one character says, while his companion, clearly disturbed, struggles to keep up. "What are you talking about?" As they continue, the dialogue reveals more unsettling truths. "Can't you see that? Did you see a monster or something?" The conversation takes an eerie turn as another character with a bandaged face and an orange eye interjects. "It's not a monster, though." They realize their mistake and apologize. Shadows loom ominously over the park, hinting at something sinister lurking just out of sight. A description follows. Although they sometimes took on forms similar to humans, A shadowy figure is depicted against a dark background, its white, ghostly appearance adding to the unease. On a piano in dim light, another character perches, observing something off-panel with an unsettling sense of foreboding. The narrative builds tension as one character reports hearing a fire at a house. "I heard a fire broke out at that house," followed by a chilling revelation, "and the entire family burned to death inside." The appearance of extremely dangerous entities looms overhead, underscoring the looming danger and the surreal nature of their world. The beanie-clad person mumbles, "That thing," as they recount their latest encounter with a mysterious figure trailing a woman, while a character reflects on the confusion surrounding how these entities cause death. The young girl smiles brightly behind a man, seemingly unaware of the perilous world around her. Despite sensing no malice from others, a monstrous figure with glowing eyes and sharp teeth looms ominously, its mere existence threatening to humans. Yet usually, they don't cause harm, leading some characters to decide on an easy solution. "As long as I don't provoke them first, I'll be fine." Others take drastic measures, declaring, "From now on, I'll live my life pretending I can't see them." The golden creature with a surprised expression catches the eye of one character, who realizes, "So this is where you were," only to find themselves face-to-face with Cha Yun-hyuk, a bunjap pang vendor. In a dimly lit alley, Cogeo, the art teacher, finds himself trapped inside his own painting, where he encounters Cha Yun-hyuk, a bunjap pang vendor. The scene shifts to reveal a hooded figure standing before a slot machine, displaying red beer starred for 1,001 each. As the day progresses, Cogeo discovers that pretending not to notice someone is no longer enough, leading him to react dramatically with a bandaged mouth and hooded headpiece. Cha Yun-hyuk, surprised by the mimic's ability to mimic humans, asks about payment methods, only for the character in the hooded cloak to inform them of preferred cash over credit cards. A third-class citizen struggles to support his family as he orders a bag from Cogeo, who contemplates selling it despite his reservations. Finally, Cogeo is about to close up and bake fresh batches when someone asks if they can wait for him. A hand inserts a card into an ILWO credit card reader, and with a satisfying beep, it's processed perfectly. No need to worry as it didn't steal the card. Nearby, someone points at a broken object with the text, "Jargai. Take care," followed by speculation about a person walking around with an unidentified bird, raising concern that this could be the same unsettling presence from before. In a snowy urban setting, a hooded figure holds a small, wrapped object, mirroring the eerie vibe of those things. A character expresses unease as another gives off the same unsettling feeling, prompting further worry about the mysterious avian companion. Suddenly, a menacing creature looms over a small, glowing bird, its appearance so dangerous that it feels like a deceitful disguise. Amidst this chaos, someone hands over a bag of bungeopang, freshly prepared for a friend who had to interrupt their cleanup due to an unexpected visit. A hooded figure in the snow thanks them, saying, "Oh, good job." Another character holds a dark, swirling object labeled as a gift, apologizing for startling another with its sudden appearance. Finally, someone presents a diamond to another character, explaining they had to make another batch because of them. The figure in the cloak stands solemnly under the night sky as another looks on nervously. "No, that's okay." The street vendor, standing under a striped awning with an encouraging smile, says, "Ane, hang." Suddenly, Cogeo, who had just survived a bizarre encounter, exclaims, "I survived." But then the rain begins to pour as a shadowy figure attacks him. In the chaos, a character with blood on their face and hands declares, "Ever since I started seeing things that others couldn't," followed by, "I thought I would die in such a bizarre way that people wouldn't even be able to," as they come to terms with the reality of their existence. Or at the very least, I die in some weird manner. The character then realizes that what had been a dream or illusion was actually today's events, and sits on the ground, exhausted but determined. A tight hug from another figure offers comfort, as Cogeo's face shows relief and satisfaction. A cloaked figure looms over Cogeo, who sits trembling on a bench, a look of confusion etched on his face. The camera zooms into another character's glowing eyes and sharp teeth, exuding an otherworldly aura. A wolf-like creature stands before them, its red eyes reflecting a menacing presence. The masked figure holds a glowing golden object, the word Thuduk echoing ominously in the air as a golden bird soars majestically over a snow-covered street lined with buildings and delivery trucks. Oi! The bird caws as it flies past. Geo contemplates moving locations tomorrow. I should move locations tomorrow. The scene cuts to the next day, where Geo speaks at a food stall. Huh? Aren't you the vendor who was selling in front of the Collector Guild building? A character in a purple outfit with a white hat and mask smiles back. Utup. A text panel asks, why is the world so small? Another character expresses surprise at someone's recent absence and assumes they've moved to this location. I haven't seen you around recently. So you moved here. Geo anxiously moves, trying to avoid inspectors while keeping an eye on someone. Well, if I stay in the same spot too long, I'll get caught by inspectors, he mutters. A suited character approaches and asks, by any chance, is that person over there a tamer hunter? A grateful figure responds, thank you for yesterday. Geo then questions another about their whereabouts, followed by a realization. What do you mean by that? Did you go out yesterday? Yes, Honey wandered off, so I told you to let me know before you go anywhere. The other replies, I found him right away though, clarifying the situation. A speech bubble reveals more context. No, that's not the issue here. Geo reflects on his past near-death experience while discussing a tamer's hunter named Honey. I knew it. He really is an entity that needs to be controlled by a first-class hunter. Observing another character, Geo asks if something unusual happened. Ugh, he's indeed a tamer hunter, confirms the other. The scene shifts as Geo exclaims joyfully after purchasing a Bungeo Pang. Yes. A glowing creature with a red gem in its mouth appears, and Geo recounts his encounter with Honey, who got incredibly big and bit him twice before. The final panel shows a character with a bandaged face and dark hair, muttering to themselves, KKURNG. The suited figure with a speech bubble asks urgently, what are your thoughts on this? As they ponder, a hooded figure expresses regret and asks if anyone was hurt, to which another person replies apologetically about feeling like it was just a joke, but still wants to apologize. The confusion deepens as someone shouts, son, only to be met with a doctor examining the injured party, asking if they would mind being checked for injuries. The surprise is palpable when the patient realizes there's even a doctor in this reality. A framed portrait reveals memories of an older version of Geo, and another character excuses themselves. Amidst the chaos, a determined expression shows up with blood on their face, hinting at something intense. Suddenly, a pair of black high-heeled shoes appear ominously, casting a shadow over the ground as if someone has vanished in the alleyway, leaving only their trail to follow. The scene ends with one character standing alone, staring down the empty alley, thinking that this mystery might have an unexpected end. The group's tension rose as they pondered their previous decision. I went out of my way to choose that one. Was he defeated? A character with long hair and glowing chains shook their head, confessing, neither the Temple of the Sun nor the media has any idea how this priest vanished. The scene cut to a moment of silence, where no traces of an escape or signs of a fight were visible. A character revealed their intention, stating they had planned to sabotage the Sun Festival. However, instead of carrying out the plan, that character suddenly disappeared. Iser, the only galaxy by their side, spoke softly. Another character in a white robe with dark hair and glowing eyes stood, saying, it looks like you'll have to do the job. The new character declared with determination, I won't disappoint you. Tensions seemed to ease when someone tried to lighten the mood, telling the group, don't be so tense. We're all just here to have a little fun. They moved to an alleyway between buildings, where one character touched their head, feeling warm and concerned about a scalp scratch and potential purification issues if it got infected. A character performs a purification ritual with solemn focus, their hands moving in precise gestures as they chant ancient prayers. Beside them, another individual undergoes the purification, eyes closed and body trembling slightly, clearly feeling the divine presence. No. Will I ever figure out what Geo really is? One exclaims in awe at witnessing such a powerful display of divine power. Suddenly, a hooded figure appears before a high-ranking hunter, catching them off guard with, "So he's actually such a high-ranking hunter that I mistook him for a monster." Another marvels, "I've never heard of a monster capable of using holy power," while another is speechless at the thought. He's at the level where he can even perform a purification ritual on himself. A character smiles gently, holding a tablet with a grid, as they discuss the timing of an initiation ceremony at the Temple of the Sun. Ah, is it already time for the Temple of the Sun to hold the initiation ceremony? Another asks in surprise. The young artist reflects. Actually, the youngest in our family awakened as a priest, so he's taking part, explaining the context behind their gathering. As they discuss this profound awakening and its timing, one muses aloud on an ancient saying. The more people gather, the easier it is to receive the gaze of, leaving everyone pondering the deeper meaning behind these events. As the characters delve into discussions about an initiation ceremony, the dialogue shifts to a priest awakening and divine power, leaving everyone intrigued by the unfolding events. The excitement builds as they talk about the grand ceremony, with one character inviting another to join. Meanwhile, in the collector headquarters, someone in a hooded cloak shares a cryptic message. "I will stop by again sometime." Suddenly, a confrontation erupts between two figures, one cloaked and gray-haired, before the scene cuts to Honey in a prison cell, declaring his innocence. As the characters ponder the nature of innocence against an owl's gaze, the fragile portrait they examine reflects on its place amidst the harsh outside world, where people and things are thriving but fear lingers. A character draped in a long black cloak holds a scroll, their voice tinged with concern as they speak to someone off-panel. Geo's sensitivity makes the initiation ceremony challenging. A conversation ensues about Geo's gentle nature and how it affects his experiences. Another character agrees, stating, "For someone like Geo who's kind-hearted yet sensitive to both good and evil, this is no small feat. I'm glad you had fun." In response, a portrait on the wall hangs solemnly as a voice from off-panel instructs, "Wait in the portrait until further notice. Then I'll let you know when the time comes, so rest there until then." Geo's journey continues with him sleeping after his short sightseeing trip and returning to his familiar surroundings. Outside the blankets lies danger, yet a soft sunlight filters through leaves, casting a tranquil glow. A character observes their assimilation rate, noting 14.8%, pondering aloud, As far as I know, I should still be synchronizing with Giovanni." The painter reflects on their emotional experience, comparing the feelings inside and outside of the portrait. They note, "The feeling is much weaker when I'm inside than when I'm out, but it's a different kind of connection altogether." As Geo notices something peculiar inside his portrait, he exclaims, "This must be a property unique to the world inside the portrait. I never noticed it before." Meanwhile, inside another portrait, a character reflects, "Even while synchronizing, inside the portrait, I'm treated as a painting rather than a person." The scene shifts to a framed portrait of a man with dark hair and a serious expression, setting the stage for their journey. Geo gives a thumbs up while eating and says, "I really am amazing," followed by a picnic lunch setup with sandwiches and a bottle, indicating they're prepared for an adventure. Footsteps echo as someone approaches, and in front of an easel stands a character in a long black robe holding a staff. Geo asks hesitantly, "May I come in?" As the character stands beside the easel, a glowing light emanates from a canvas with a sharp exclamation, "Par-AA." The atmosphere thickens as they express gratitude with a simple yet heartfelt, "Thank you." The silhouette looms large, a solitary figure standing on a rocky cliff, gazing upward with a sense of quiet contemplation. Cut to the priest, visibly flustered as he confesses his tardiness. "Yes, this priest of yours is terribly late." He apologizes for his absence, saying, "Please understand, I was exploring the outside world for a while." The camera then shows him gazing at a bright light in the sky. The scene shifts underwater where a character expresses surprise, their speech bubble floating above them. I'm clearly underwater, but I can breathe. Reflecting further, they ponder aloud. Is it because I already died in this world? Or because, even after synchronizing, a framed image of a house in the forest appears next, accompanied by dialogue from Geo himself, just like when I was in that painted forest. Suddenly, a glowing figure with a simple face emerges underwater. The camera then focuses on a character with long hair and blue eyes, who smiles peacefully against a serene background. As they express feelings of loss and shame, the character conveys, I see. That's a shame. I suppose it feels like losing my homeland. In a tender moment, someone reaches into a box filled with bubbles, causing Voger to erupt. The final image shows another character enjoying an air-bubbled sandwich, with their meal surrounded by bubbles, as they say, using the sun's miracle to put air bubbles around the meal. As Geo laughs, emphasizing that they can't have the meal get wet, another character joins in with a hearty haha. That's right. The sun's rays shine brightly as one character gazes upwards, then stands on a cliff, ready to eat, while muttering, Enjoy your meal, father. The screen displays communication with the sun god, complete. Suddenly, another character expresses surprise. So you're saying Jo seems to have another self as well? In the next scene, one character questions why they haven't summoned them yet. The conversation continues in a room where another character insists it's not just about Geo's portrait, but the sea as well. The SE has been UN. A character with red hair and a suit looks up in awe or surprise at something off-screen. While near the sea, Root's children move strangely, adding to the tension. In the uniformed character's announcement of an upcoming sea event, they hint that something may happen out at SEA before long. The suited figure with red hair and yellow eyes responds sharply, That's none of my business. Meanwhile, a character with white hair remains calm, their serene expression suggesting deeper knowledge or contemplation. The tension builds as a character exclaims, I knew you'd say that, before breaking into a laughter that sounds more like haha. Isn't that only natural? An unidentified root entity returns safely and whispers. An unidentified root entity just returns safely without causing a major incident. Another character questions, How can you just SIT and wait after hearing that? It's not like I can talk to, a caption below a fish swimming in the sea reads, Everything is submerged in the SEA. As a character struggles with fishing underwater, so fishing has become quite difficult. I was going to treat you to fried fish for dinner, but I happen to be one of the... A character with long hair looks up at a glowing figure and exclaims, Chun, pardon? Honey. Another scene shows a golden otter holding a red gem underwater. The curator muses thoughtfully. This is only my guess as a curator. While a character in a white robe stands before an ornate door, Geo feels different from usual and states, he has felt like an entirely different being from the usual JIO. The narrator's voice boomed with surprise. Load his grade, followed by a stunned silence. Another character interjected. Of a human? Of his own accord? Visibly shaken by this revelation, the room burst into a debate of contrasting opinions. One found it remarkable, while the other dismissed it as disgusting. Geo's form began to fragment, hollow and unsettling, as he reflected on his transformation. Questions about his health flooded the air, with one character noting that he seemed more tired over time. Despite this, no serious abnormalities were detected. Another pondered why Geo had become a different person, though he was still arrogant in some ways. Even while claiming to be just an ordinary 29-year-old human, Geo watched and praised others as if they were ants. He received a glowing jewel from someone labeled Talk, but insisted it was merely a token of gratitude, though the candy offered felt more like a gift than recognition. Lowering his grade revealed no trace of his usual arrogance. He truly felt human now. Yet, whenever he came into contact with water, he wasn't even 29 years old anymore. His form changed effortlessly as he used holy power without difficulty. The narrator paused. To me, IT felt as though he'd become an entirely different person. But Geo's transformation felt more complex and mysterious than a simple metamorphosis. The golden-winged figure with a red gem issued an urgent warning. "GRRR, you can catch them, but you want me to close my eyes." The conversation took a softer turn as another character, holding a small creature, affectionately remarked, "Why, honey? Your dad could never stop loving you, no matter what you look like." The focus then shifted to a hand gripping a golden object adorned with FIR and MLY. The second character nodded, as the first character complimented another on their cuteness with, "You absolutely don't want to show me? How can you be this cute?" and declared, "Look, father-son." The scene evolved into a portrait being drawn of Geo. Meanwhile, discussion about names assigned by the root ensued. That name wasn't given by humans. What we're seeing is the name assigned by the focus on Awakened One's skills as hunters continued with the skills used by Awakened Ones, that is, hunters, leading to a character analyzing Geo's portrait using the appraisal skill and incrementing the appraised value to #_11. The final frame highlighted the significance of this name with the text, "That's not a name humans can simply alter or ignore," leaving viewers intrigued as they watch the scene unfold. The root itself has forbidden us, stating, "This information must not be altered or ignored," leaving viewers intrigued as they watch the scene unfold. Meanwhile, a character with long blonde hair and a dark outfit is smiling, surrounded by a serene underwater bubble, expressing reassurance with a simple laugh. A masked figure in a suit speaks about the concept of Geo, likening it to something almost like a god, leaving viewers pondering what if Geo truly represents more than just ordinary humans. In another panel, a character in a suit with blue hair and red streaks on his forehead addresses someone affectionately as father, suggesting a familial bond over fish for dinner at the cabin. Reflective dialogue continues as one character ponders Geo's true nature, questioning whether whatever Geo truly is, hasn't he already explained how dangerous it is to attach that sort of setting to something else? A teddy bear floats in water with a speech bubble, emphasizing the perilousness of such beliefs. The conversation shifts back to beings capable of becoming disasters through belief alone, leading one character to hold a fish and smile at another, implying it's only speculation about Geo being anything but ordinary. The group cautiously approaches an altered form of Geo, their apprehension evident as they whisper among themselves, "I intend to approach this altered form of Geo much more carefully." Geo himself remains unfazed by any concern, believing himself human despite his true nature. A character with a sword in hand looms ominously, threatening humanity yet displaying an air of carefree indifference. Nearby, a bird-like creature carries a golden egg adorned with a red gem, which it chirps contentedly. Another character expresses disbelief at the mental capacity of any human, questioning Geo's various personalities until he finally reveals his true nature. The scene shifts to a cozy dinner setting where a chef prepares food with chopsticks, and a plate is presented, signaling that dinner is ready. Dinner's there. A person admires their meal, crisping it up with the sun's magic. Jongpagpag. They even share this deliciousness with a teddy bear, who looks on contentedly. The person sitting on a couch munches happily, declaring, happiness maybe because it's so fresh, but it's delicious however you eat it." As Geo, the art teacher, discusses using vegetables from his small garden patch with another character, they both agree that sounds good. The conversation shifts to preparing a hunter ID, but then turns to the mysterious bird-like being Geo drew and brought along. Curiosity builds as someone speculates about what would happen if he drew an entire landscape. Meanwhile, in the background, a teddy bear with a red bow tie sits calmly on the floor. Another character, sporting a bandaged head, walks down a path only to be surprised at the sight of tomatoes and corn in a vibrant autumnal setting. Geo's vegetable patch has inexplicably grown, and he discovers something strange among its plants, a glowing seed that doesn't seem like anything Yuuzhangun gave him. As he examines it closely, he wonders if this is the power inside his art. The camera focuses on a character with dark hair, framed by leaves, as their eyes widen in shock. A hand hits something hard, causing a sharp sound effect. The character stands in a dense forest clearing, surrounded by vines that seem to pulse with life and sunlit patches creating an ethereal glow. Suddenly, a fox-like creature with a red cape lies motionless on the ground amid green foliage. As they approach, they discover a deer, injured and bleeding, lying on the ground. "Oh, heavens!" they exclaim in dismay. Another character wearing a bird perched atop their hat questions, "Why is there a dead deer here?" The scene shifts to explain that this creature is called a treehorn deer, known for its elixir refining method using processed meat made by trimming the flesh. The habitat is shown to be the ruined Abila's jungle, an animal kingdom teeming with life and secrets yet to be uncovered. But then, as if pulled from another dimension, something red and ominous appears, sending shockwaves through the vines that protect the painting. These sweet potato vines, the character marvels, brimming with such powerful vitality, must have taken on a new form. Concerned about entities from another dimension crossing over, they whisper, "That's really scary. They aren't going to keep coming over from that dimension." Grr, grr. Gio's frustration bubbled over as he struggled to cope with his predicament, joined by a reassured voice offering encouragement. "You can do this too?" The teacher quickly dismissed it, saying, "This isn't a competition, honey." He then busied himself preparing a meal, donning an unusual hat adorned with antlers as he worked. "Anyway, I was just about to prepare a meal, so this works out," he muttered to himself. His conversation shifted to sharing his personal story of meat butchering. "I know a guy who lives in Majangdong. He taught me how to butcher meat." Suddenly, a hand pointed upwards, emitting a series of energetic gururu sounds in the speech bubble. The serene scene with willow branches and sunlight filtering through contrasted sharply as a bird flew over a lush landscape dotted with mushrooms and green grass, chirping softly. "Puru." The tranquility was broken by the sound of chopsticks picking up a steaming dumpling. Then, Gio reflected on the system's advice about jerky making, but then realized he had far more meat than anticipated. There was much more meat than I expected, and I didn't have anywhere suitable to. As he ate, a small bear-like creature watched from nearby, intrigued by his snack, and seated comfortably. The night sky loomed over a quaint house, its moonlit glow casting shadows on the quiet street below. Inside, Pikachu snuggled comfortably by the side of a character, their bond as warm and serene as the gentle moonlight. The warmth was short-lived. Soon after, two characters embraced tightly in a hug, their faces pressed against each other's, both seeking solace or perhaps just companionship amidst the darkness. Outside the cozy room, another character paced restlessly, murmuring to themselves about their inability to sleep, their words a reflection of a restless mind. In dim light, a man stood alone, lost in thought as he gazed out into the uncertain night beyond his company's walls. As he contemplated his artistic process and realized that his imaginary landscapes were surprisingly accurate representations of reality, another character reflected on their painting journey, their gaze drifting towards an underwater scene eerily similar to real life. A mermaid holding a glowing cube shimmered beneath the waves. Back in the present moment, the same character, now with long blue hair, stood in a dark and serene setting, contemplating the world outside of his company. Perhaps it was the dark hours just before dawn. Outside again, a snowy alleyway lined with tall buildings and streetlights loomed under the night sky. A figure stood there, lost in thought, asking aloud where they were going to mooch off next. The frustrated character sighs heavily, their frustration evident even though they're an awakened being. Even though I'm an awakened, being F-ranked still means. They reflect on their injury and abandonment by their team, muttering to themselves, "And now that I've injured my leg, I'm stuck like this." Holding a phone with a broken screen, they lament, "I need to buy my youngest a priest's robe," then grumble. "And this time, even my rent went up." As snow falls and buses stop running, another character is stranded on the streets, forced to sleep there. "The buses have stopped running, so I have to sleep on the streets." They curse, "This fucking sucks." Standing outside in the snow with only a few days of city stay rights left, they sigh, "I got a few days of city stay rights with my Hunter ID, but I don't have enough. They contemplate finding work near a company that makes decent money, listing off possibilities like places that make money. Isn't there some company nearby that makes a decent amount of money? Places like. Suddenly, they see a framed portrait in the snow and exclaim, what crazy bastard hung a painting here? Fearfully, they continue to stand outside in the snow, looking surprised. In the frigid snow, a cloaked figure shivers under a heavy blanket, their breathing shallow and uncertain. In a circular frame, a text reveals, a fourth-grade citizen, HUH. Nearby, two figures are found huddled together. They seem surprisingly unharmed despite being far from shelter. A character with snow on their head gazes down, appearing contemplative. Suddenly, frustration erupts as someone exclaims, "Damn it." Another figure, caught up in the moment, shouts, "E!" before racing off on a bicycle through the snowy streets. The scene cuts to embarrassment and frustration as someone yells, "FUCK, this is embarrassing. Fuck, why the hell are they sleeping there?" Nearby, a person beams with joy at their youngest who has knitted something special for them. Another character stands in the snow beside a framed portrait, appearing lost in thought. A character looks surprised as they peer into a mirror, muttering to themselves, "HUH." Cogio recalls seeing another painting in an alley, muttering, "Isn't that the painting I saw in another alley a while ago?" He questions his memory, puzzled and frustrated. What? Did I see it wrong before? No, I definitely saw the same one. Unless. Suddenly, he's confronted by something bizarre. His voice rises in shock as he exclaims, "What the hell is that?" Confusion and dread fill him as he realizes, am I fucked? Another character speaks formally, "Excuse me, but Gio can't focus." A figure in a mask appears amidst raindrops, eyes filled with tears. With blood on their face, the same character says, "Tot." The camera cuts to an extreme close-up of a teary eye. Gio falls hard onto the ground, his body slumping in a snowy night scene as he sits stunned and breathless. "E, what is this? UUUUGY. What was that just now? Did I almost fuck?" A clenched fist glows with power, declaring, "Na-e-him." Cha-era instinctively realized that something important was unfolding, her eyes wide with surprise as she muttered that this mysterious gem was a gift from the portrait. A masked figure gave her a thumbs up, declaring, "Good job," as if recognizing her quick insight. A loud thud echoed through the room, followed by one character's shocked gasp. "Thud? How could this happen? Stalking is a bad thing." "No, I was only worried about." The scene shifted to Cogio, his gaze fixed on a moving object, muttering, "If I keep my gaze fixed on something that's moving." Then he stood before two framed portraits, noticing how the frame moved with reality, saying, "It seems the frame that appears in reality moves along with it." A hand reached up towards a window, reflecting the cityscape below. It ended up looking exactly like I was stalking her, Gio realized, his voice trailing off. As he held up a large, sparkling diamond, Cha-era hesitated, suddenly realizing, "No, wait a second. Fonda." Then a mysterious frame followed Cha-era and handed her a gem, sparking more intrigue with the revelation. If a frame follows her around and suddenly hands her a gem. Cogio, his determined expression a testament to his inner resolve, stood before the canvas, each brushstroke a silent promise. Suddenly, he realized with a jolt that giving her a gem was not what he intended, his eyes widening as realization dawned on him. "Giving her a gem was absolutely not what I intended," he muttered, his mind racing. He pondered deeply, contemplating if this moment could mean turning into another personality he didn't even know. Could I possibly be turning into another personality that I don't even know? The words echoed in his mind as he stood there, lost in thought, his future uncertain but filled with an air of mystery and anticipation. For the first time since the fire, Cogio finally lets himself breathe. Thinking back on everything he survived, it all led him here, to this quiet moment inside his own painting. Then the system chimes, a quest completed. Let's make a frame and assess safety. And his reward takes shape in his open hand. A seal. Gio turns it over slowly, a knowing smile forming. "A seal, huh? I know exactly how to use this. But Geo is not alone in here. A small painted creature stirs in the dark, trembling. I'm a firefly, it whispers. I have no friends. Geo goes still, because the words land far too close to home. Is this the system's quiet way of telling a friendless man like him that it is finally time to make a new connection? Meanwhile, out in the waking world, there are no signs of an intrusion, and yet something has arrived. An envelope so black it seems bottomless waits on the desk. Whoever finds it freezes, the color draining from their face. Could it be? Could it really be Geo? And so, the very next day, the meeting is set. The confrontation Geo has been quietly bracing for finally arrives. Geo, are you the one who sent this letter? He does not flinch. Yes, I am. I wrote every word myself. But there is a problem. He wrote it in Korean, and somewhere in the delivery, the meaning was lost in translation. I'm sorry, Geo says, lowering his head. It must have startled you. It's fine, comes the careful reply. But what exactly did you write? Geo keeps it simple, almost gentle. Nothing special, just a brief thank you and a greeting. Then the conversation turns to the invisible laws that bind his power. According to the portrait rules, pulling any object out of a painting demands a one-to-one exchange. Something must be given for anything taken. And yet, again and again, Geo keeps bending those laws to his own will. It raises a question that chills the ones listening. If he can find his own ways around the rules, were they ever truly rules he was meant to obey at all? I simply thought I'd try making a new friend, Geo finally admits, and the words hang heavy in the air. A new friend? The ones watching realize they can no longer keep this man quiet behind four walls. He seems rather eager. They think, so they test him. Geo, do you enjoy painting landscapes as well? Yes, he answers without hesitation. In fact, I painted one just yesterday, and the whole room goes cold. Worlds he created. Is Geo truly saying he can build entire dimensions and walk freely between them? The scale of it is almost unimaginable. If he can create dimensions, does that mean he can travel into dungeons too? The very dungeons whose entrances have already opened across the earth? Geo admits he hasn't tried that yet, but the interest in his eyes is unmistakable. And for the ones guiding him, that interest is a relief they can use. Then how about this they offer? Use a dungeon as the place to find your new friend, somewhere with as few human casualties as possible. But far from that quiet room, in the depths of a very real dungeon, someone else is having a much worse day. A porter drags himself through the dark, cursing his luck. Where one returns stone short, his party mutters, "Sorry about that." He grits his teeth. "I'm a porter, not cargo." The A-class hunters have already picked these ruins clean, and the one job he finally thought would pay is slipping through his fingers. "Why is my life like this?" he groans. And then, in the gloom ahead, something small stirs. A strange little creature, not quite fish, not quite cat, watching him. That was Chapter 20 of A Painter Who Draws Dungeons.